Now let us move on to overhead variance. Overhead variance. So now let us try to understand basically overhead variance. We know three elements of cost: material, labor. So we have done with the material and we have done with the labor. Now the last element of costing is something called as overhead variance, and we know the overheads are generally broken up into two different segments. One is said to be called as variable overheads, other is something called as the fixed overhead variance. So here there is something called as variable and there is something called as fixed. So these are the two different segments of your overhead variance. Variable overhead is quite simple. First let us focus on the fixed overhead variance, then we will come back to the variable overhead variance, because variable overhead only three variants I need to calculate. One, variable overhead cost variance, variable overhead expenditure variance, variable overhead efficiency variance, which is almost the same as your material labor cost variance, material labor rate and price variance, material labor usage and efficiency variance. That's it. So these are the three variants which you will be having as a part of your variable overheads. But coming to fixed overheads, let us say cost variance will be there, expenditure variance will be there, volume variance will be there. This volume variance is further broken up into three different segments. What are those? Fixed overhead efficiency, fixed overhead capacity, fixed overhead calendar. So total we need to calculate something called as 6 different variances I need to calculate in terms of my fixed overhead. Now first let us discuss a brief overview of what are the different types of variance. We'll get into one by one. So what is that? What is the most important thing I need to calculate to understand this? How do I understand all the variances of my fixed overhead? That will get into one by one. So as I said, first one is what? Fixed overhead cost variance. The first set of variance nothing but your fixed overhead cost variance is the first one. So now this fixed overhead cost variance is broken up into, as I said, basically two segments. One is something called as expenditure variance, other one is something called as volume variance. So fixed overhead cost variance is broken up into expenditure, volume. As your material cost variance is broken up into price variance as well as your volume variance. Labor cost variance is broken up into labor rate variance, labor efficiency variance. Same line, fixed overhead cost variance is broken up into two. Now this volume variance is broken up into three different segments. One, the first segment is something called as fixed overhead efficiency. I need to calculate the efficiency. In how much time I should do, in how much time I am doing. If I am doing the task within the less than set time, I will call that as I am efficient. So that's what is something called as efficiency. You are budgeting to use 80% of the capacity, but in reality, actually you are using only for 60%. Then there is a difference in something called as capacity, because budgeting the capacity is different, actual utilization of the capacity is different. So that difference is going to give you capacity. See, you are getting a change in volume. The change in volume may be your efficiency. The change in volume may be your capacity, or the change in volume may be something called as calendar. You are fixing the volume for 26 days, but in reality there was some strike, there was some lockdown, you are working only for 23 days. So ultimately there will be definitely difference in volume. So the volume, the breakup of this volume is something called as calendar due to number of days. You are budgeting for some capacity, using for some other capacity, that what is something called as capacity variance. You should produce this many goods in this many hours, but you are producing more or high, that reflect in something called as efficiency, the volume is changing. So the breakup of your fixed cost variance is what? Expenditure, volume, efficiency, capacity, calendar. Now as we have discussed here, variable overhead cost variance is generally broken up into only two segments. So there are total three variants which you need to calculate. What are those? Variable overhead expenditure variance, variable overhead efficiency variance. So same formulas as you are applying for your labor. That means what I will do here? here I will be taking my standard, but here as it is a variable, I need to take something called as absorbed. Now let us get into a new concept which is something called as absorb. Okay, so absorb. So of course it's not a new topic. We had covered this topic in detail when we are discussing about something called as warheads. There I had mentioned clearly that the linkage of the absorption will be there with your standard costing. Now absorption, I need to apply the concept of something called as absorption. I need to absorb my cost. Now, why we need to absorb your cost? The answer you know pretty well. Why will be going to absorb your cost? You will be going to absorb your cost because the overheads are such that I can know these expenses only once I close my books of accounts. I can't wait till closing of my books of accounts. So there what I will do on some predetermined basis, either on the basis of your material, either on the basis of your labor cost, or on the basis of your labor hours, or on the basis of your prime cost, or on the basis of your machine hour rate, or on the basis of your output. What we'll do? We'll try to recover, we'll try to absorb the cost. When you are trying to absorb this cost, based upon the last year's or some budgeted parameters that I am trying to apply for the current year. That may be roughly the same, or that may be more than, or that may be less than. So that is the reason always when we do something called as absorption, we'll be having something called as under absorption and over absorption. That's what we have discussed. Now, today in this chapter, standard costing, we'll try to understand how do I absorb, how do I calculate the absorbed overhead. So, once I absorb, I will call that as what? Absorbed overheads. Either that is an absorbed variable overhead or that is a variable fixed overhead, we'll call that as an absorbed overheads. Now, let us try to first of all know how do we calculate the absorbed overheads. Then we can easily understand all the sort of variance and we can quickly calculate the fixed overhead variance. Okay, if you understand this, fixed overhead variance will become damn simple. See, generally student will be having some sort of difficulty in understanding the fixed overhead variance. But if you understand the concept of absorption, if you understand how do you calculate your absorbed overheads, calculation of your fixed overhead variance is very easy as compared to your material, as compared to your labor, as compared to your variable overhead variance. Now, let us try to understand how do I calculate something called as my absorbed overheads. There are basically two different ways I can calculate. One, calculation of my absorbed overheads based on units, calculation of my absorbed overheads based on hours. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to calculate your absorbed overheads based upon units, based upon hours. So that's what is the thing which you are trying to calculate. Now, let us take an example here that your step number one. So there are basically few steps which I need to apply. So step number one, if I consider, what is my first step? My first step is nothing but taking my budgeted fixed overhead. So what I need to do? Take your budgeted fixed overheads. Say, let me take an example that my budgeted fixed overheads, is going to be 1 lakh. 1 lakh rupees. My budget fixed overhead is going to be 1 lakh rupees. That will be the same either if I calculate based on units. My budget fixed overheads will be same even if I calculate based on rupees. Whatever it is, this part of overheads will be always remain the same. That's what is my first step. Generally, that will be given the problem. So 90% cases, budget fixed overheads will be always mentioned in the problem. Second step. Now we need to proceed to the second step. Second step, what I need to take? I need to take the base. I need to consider the base. If you remember how you are calculating your budget fixed overheads, I mean absorption rate in your overheads, fixed overhead divided by something called as your base. There, what was your base? Your base could be labor hours, your base could be machine hours, your base could be anything. So take the base. Now, what is the base? If I calculate based on units, number of units is my base. if I try to calculate based on hours, hours is going to be my guess. So now let us consider that your number of units is 10,000 units. That means you are going to produce 10,000 units. 10,000 units is the total units which have produced. And this 10,000 units you are budgeting to produce in 5,000 hours. Means what? You will be producing 2 units per hour. As you are producing 2 units per hour, in 5,000 hours you are going to produce 10,000 units. That's what is the interpretation for that. So, generally first and second step will be directly matched in the problem. So, I will be directly taking that. Then based upon this, I will go to the third step. What is our third step? Rate per base. What is the meaning of that rate per base? Rate per unit, rate per hour. So what I am going to do? 1 divided by 2. If I divide step 1 by step 2, I will be getting something called as rate per unit, rate per hour. 1 lakh divided by 10,000, you are getting 10 rupees per unit. 10 rupees per unit. 1 lakh divided by 5,000, which gives you 20 rupees per hour. So 20 rupees per hour is the value which you are getting. So that's what is your strategy. Generally, budget overheads will be given, base will be given. If budget overheads is not given, then the problem will clearly give you your base and rate per base. Then what I will do? Reverse calculation. I need to multiply this with this and be getting my budget fixed cost. That's what is your third step. Then fourth step. Fourth step, okay. We need to go to the fourth step. Let us see what is it. Fourth step basically what? Fourth step is speaking about, okay, let me write it like this. So 1 divided by 2, let me put it here. 1 divided by 2. Now, what is fourth step? Fourth step is nothing but calculation of your absorbed fixed overheads. Is what I will do? In the case of, okay, so I need to add one more thing here. Generally, I need to calculate something called as standard hours for actual output. So what I need to calculate? Standard hours for actual output I need to calculate. This we have discussed how do we calculate that when we are doing something called as for labor. So there we have discussed. This I need not calculate when I calculate the absorption cost based on units. I need to calculate only here. I need to calculate standard hours for actual output when I do based upon the calculation of my hours I should do. Now, fifth step is nothing but calculation of something called as for absorbed fixed overhead. So what we are going to do here, step 3 multiplied by something called as for actual output. See what I am trying to do? When I calculate the absorbed fixed overhead based upon units, what I am trying to do here? I am trying to calculate step 3 into actual output. Step 3 into actual output. Okay. So let us consider if your actual output is 20,000. Our actual output is what? 20,000. Then what I have to do? 20,000 at 10 rupees, that gives me my absorbed overheads as 2 lakhs. If I calculate based upon hours, then how do I calculate? Step 3 into step 4. If you are calculating based upon what? Based upon units, step 3 into actual output. If you calculate based on hours, step 3 into step 4. That gives you something called as for absorbed fixed overheads. So that's what is one of the most important thing you need to calculate. Now, let us try to understand with the help of this graph. Let us try to understand how do we calculate your variances, right? Right. So now let us consider this as your x-axis, this as your y-axis. Generally, fundamentally, what we know clearly that x-axis represents units and y-axis represents the cost. So now let us assume cost is mentioned in your y-axis, units are mentioned in your x-axis. That's what is the generally fundamental phenomenon we have to consider. Now, what is the meaning of your fixed cost? Fixed cost means per unit constant. Say, even if I produce 0 units, my cost remains the same. Even if I produce 5,000 units, my cost remains the same. Even if I produce 10,000 units, my cost remains the same. Even if I produce 15,000, my cost remains the same. Even if I produce 20,000, even if I produce 25,000, or even if I produce 30,000, my cost remains the same. That's what is something called as a fixed cost. Now, let us consider two fixed costs: actual fixed overheads and budget fixed overheads. Because I will be generally having two things. One is something called as actual fixed overheads. Actual fixed overheads. And there is something called as budgeted fixed overheads. So what can happen? My actual fixed overhead can be less than budget, or my actual fixed overhead is more than budget. Now, let us for an example consider that your actual fixed overhead is 1,50,000 is your actual fixed overhead. So my actual fixed overhead is what? 1,50,000 is my actual fixed overhead. Means what? Even if I produce 0, my fixed cost is 1,50,000. Even if I produce 30,000, my fixed cost is going to be 1,50,000. Now let us assume your budgeted overheads is going to be, let us consider 1,75,000. So what is your budget here? Budget overheads is going to be 1,75,000. Or budgeted overheads is going to be, what is the assumption you are considered? 1 lakh. So budget fixed overhead is 1 lakh. So you are having a budgeted fixed cost of 1 lakh. Okay, budget fixed cost of 1 lakh, actual fixed cost of 1,50,000. So actual fixed cost more than my budget. So now let us consider this as your cost. 50,000, 1 lakh, 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs, and so on. 4 lakhs, and this is 5 lakhs. This is nothing but the cost. You are considering the cost there. Now, so if I put everything as a part of my graph, one second, let me change this frequency here. Yeah. So now let us consider this as 1 lakh. Let us consider this as 2 lakhs. Let us consider this to be 3. Let us consider this to be 4. Let us consider this to be 5. So that's what is the given values which we are considering. Now, what is the meaning here? Actual cost is 1,50,000. So I need to place a dot here. Even if my production is 0, even if my production is 5,000, even if my production is 10,000, even if my production is 15, 20, 25, 30. So what is my fixed cost? My fixed cost is going to be the same. That's the reason if I draw up a line, I will be getting a parallel line like this. So what is this line called as? This line is nothing but something called as for actual fixed overhead. So what is this called as? Actual fixed overhead. So I will call this as my actual fixed overhead. Then what is my budgeted? My budgeted was 1 lakh. Means what? Same. My budget is 1 lakh. That means what? My fixed cost remains the same throughout my production. So this is going to be something called as what? Budgeted fixed cost. So we got two lines. Now already we had understood one important term. What is that? There is also something called as your absorbed fixed cost. So what we had done? We had calculated your absorbed cost. What is your absorbed cost? 10 rupees per unit. If my actual output is 15,000, let us consider my actual output is 20,000. If my actual output is 20,000, so actual output is what? Actual output is 20. Okay. Consider my actual output to be 20. Then what is my absorbed fixed overheads? 20,000 into 10 rupees. Now if you observe 10 rupees per unit. If I produce 5,000, my absorbed cost is 50,000. If I produce 10,000, my absorbed cost is going to be 1 lakh. So now let us put a line here. If I produce 0, my absorbed cost is going to be 0. If I produce 5,000, my absorbed cost is what? 5,000 into 10, I will be getting something called as 50,000. If I produce 10,000, 10,000 into 10, 1 lakh. If I produce 15,000, 15,000 into 10, I will be getting something called as 1 lakh 50. So now if you observe, this absorbed overheads is increasing along with the output. If I produce 25, my cost will be 2 lakh 50. So, and it keeps on increasing. So if I draw the line here, I will be getting a line somewhat like this. I will be getting a line like this. So here, this is nothing but my 2 lakh 50. So what is this line called as? This line is something called as what? Absorbed fixed cost. So it keeps on increasing. 25,000, 2 lakh 50,000, 30,000, 3 lakh. So this line keeps on increasing. So at this level, I am going to produce 20,000. My cost is going to be 2 lakhs. Now, if you observe once again. Now, what is happening? We are having basically 3 different lines. Let me draw this in another color. Okay, we are having 3 lines. One line is nothing but your observed fixed overhead. Other line is nothing but your actual fixed overheads. Other line is nothing but your budgeted fixed overhead. So actual, observed, budgeted. So 3 different lines are there. So now let us try to understand. There is a difference. There is a gap between your observed and actual. So this angle, this gap is there. What is this gap called as? Then there is also a gap between what? Between observed and budgeted. So you are having a gap between something called as observed and budgeted. So even here we are able to have some sort of gap. Even this is also some sort of gap. And if you observe, even here we are having some sort of gap. So 3 angles has been formed now. Now 3 angles has been formed. So here again we are having a gap between something called as observed and actual. So there is a gap between your observed overheads and your actual overheads. There is a gap between observed overheads and budgeted overheads. There is a gap between actual overheads and budgeted overheads. So these are the 3 variances which are going to calculate. This gap, this angle, whatever angle which is formed here, what I will call it as? That will be simply termed as your fixed overhead cost variance. That's it. Fixed overhead cost variance. So the angle between your observed fixed overheads and your actual fixed overheads is something called as your fixed overhead cost variance. And what is that also called as? The same thing we have discussed your overheads. There we have discussed observed actual. It's nothing but your under absorption or over absorption. So under absorption or over absorption is nothing but called as your cost variance. And the same thing is formed in the form of angle here. Now here there is an other angle formed. So what is this? The other angle formed here is between observed and budget. Observed and budget. Observed keeps on changing. If the volume gets changed, my cost gets changed. Whereas budget fixed overheads remain the same. So the angle between one which does not change and one which changes is something called as what? Is something called as the fixed overhead volume variance. What we call this as? Fixed overhead volume variance is something which we call this. Now, actual cost and budget cost. This angle is something called as the expenditure variance. So by looking at the graph without knowing the formulas itself, I can simply say I can easily calculate 3 variances. What are those? Cost, volume, expenditure. So now let us try to put whatever we have learned in some formulas. So if I try to put this in a formula, what I can do? I can simply say my fixed overhead cost variance. See, let us go here. Cost variance is something which is nothing but observed fixed overheads minus actual. Observed fixed overheads minus actual fixed overheads is nothing but something called as what? Cost variance. So I can simply call this as what? Either under or over absorption. That's it. You are recovering your overheads. You may be recovering more or you may be recovering less as compared to the actual. that recovery is something called as your cost variance. So how you are calculating your expenditure variance? The expenditure variance is one of the most simple, because generally you need not do anything. Budget overheads will be given, actual overheads will be given. Just simply take the difference of your budget fixed overheads minus actual fixed overheads. So difference of your budget fixed overheads minus actual fixed overheads is going to give you something called as your expenditure variance. Now, then you are trying to calculate something called as your volume variance. How do you calculate the volume variance? The thing which changes, the thing which does not change. That means what changes? The thing which changes here is nothing but your absorbed fixed overheads. What does not change? Budget fixed overheads will not change. That means if you know your absorbed, fixed overheads, you can easily calculate two variance will be automatically calculated. So the most important part is what? Calculation of something called as what? Absorbed fixed overheads. So that's what is the basis of calculation of your fixed overhead cost variance. That's what is the basis for calculation of something called as what? Expenditure and volume variance. Now let us get into something called as what? Efficiency variance. Then we'll start working with the problem. There, let us try to discuss on something called as how do you calculate your calendar, how do you calculate your capacity. Now, okay, or let me explain it here itself so that we can directly go on to the problematic stage. Now, efficiency. What is the meaning of efficiency? In what hours you should do, in how many hours you are doing. And one fundamental principle we should never forget. Any sort of volume variance, whether it is a material, whether it is a labor, whether it is a overhead, the volume variance should be, the difference of volume variance should be always multiplied with the standard. Here I will be multiplying the budget. So here, efficiency variance, if I want to calculate it, what? Difference. What difference? Same as your labor efficiency, same as your variable overhead efficiency. No change. Means calculate something called as the standard hours for actual output. So what I need to calculate? Standard hours for actual output. I should calculate the difference of standard hours for actual output minus actual hours. You are supposed to do the task in 3 hours, but you are doing the task in 2 hours. So actually is 3. Standard hours for actual output is going to be 3. Actual hours is going to be 2. You have saved 1 hour. So ultimately I will call that you are an efficient. So this difference, what I need to do? This difference should be multiplied with your budget. So what I need to do? This difference should be multiplied with something called as the budgeted rate. So difference has to be multiplied with something called as the budgeted rate. So now we have discussed something called as the cost variance. We have discussed something called as the expenditure variance, volume variance. We had also discussed something called as the efficiency variance. Now we should discuss on something called as the capacity variance. Now let us see how do I calculate the capacity. Always volume variance is the difference of your hours. So the breakup of your volume variance, efficiency variance and capacity variance is also something called as difference of your hours. Here, what difference I had considered? Standard hours for actual output. I had set a standard that you should do the task in 3 hours. You may be doing the task in less than 3, you may be doing the task in more than 3. Less than 3, your production will be more, so ultimately due to your efficiency, the production increased. If you are producing in higher time, more time, your efficiency is less, your production is less, the volume has been reduced. Now what is capacity? You are budgeting to work at 80% capacity. You are budgeting for some budget hours. But in real terms, you are actually not working for 80% capacity, you are working for only 60% of capacity. Then what happens? There is a difference in the number of hours you are working. So now what I need to do? I need to take something called as your actual hours. So here, take the difference of your actual hours. Okay? Actual hours. This actual hours should be reduced with what? I need to reduce something called as your budgeted hours. You are budgeting for 80%. But working for 60, so ultimately that creates in some sort of volume. Your budget volume is higher, actual volume is higher. Why? Because that difference in volume may be due to efficiency, the difference in volume may be due to capacity. So here what I will do, This difference I will consider. Always fundamentally, as I mentioned, as it is a volume variance, this difference is always supposed to be multiplied with something called as the budgeted rate. What I need to do? Budgeted rate. Okay. In some cases, I need to consider there is something called as my possible budget hours. In the place of budget hours, what I will do? I will consider something called as my possible budgeted hours. We'll discuss that. At the same point of time, we'll try to calculate something called as calendar variance. That means whenever calendar variance is applicable, if calendar variance is applicable, I have to calculate something called as possible budgeted hours. Calendar variance not applicable, simply take your budgeted hours. But whenever the calendar variance is applicable, you need to calculate something called as what? Possible budgeted hours. That's what is the basic background behind this. So ultimately, if you observe the entire thing, you need to calculate only three. Only three things are there. If you calculate those three things, fixed overhead variance becomes easy. What are those? So three requirements are there. So before commencing any problem in your standard costing, especially fixed overheads, what are the requirements? You are supposed to calculate something called as observed fixed overheads, because if you know observed fixed overheads, ultimately you can calculate your cost variance, you can calculate your volume variance. So observed fixed overheads is one thing which you are supposed to calculate. Then you are supposed to calculate something called as standard hours for actual output. If you calculate your observed based upon hours, you are directly calculating there. If you are calculating based upon units, you need to calculate separately. If I calculate standard hours for actual output, I can find out my efficiency. Total out of 6, 4 variants are done. So first requirement is always what? Calculate your observed fixed overheads. Second requirement is nothing but calculation of your standard hours for actual output. So once I know this, if you look into the formula, as I know the observed cost variance, anyways the problem will clearly give you budget minus actual expenditure variance. So as you are able to calculate your observed, you are able to calculate your volume variance. As you are able to calculate your standard, you are able to calculate your efficiency variance. Anyways the problem is having actual hours, anyways the problem is having budget hours, this difference is going to give you capacity variance. If calendar variance is there, then I need to calculate something called as possible budgeted hours. When I will do this? Whenever calendar variance is applicable, then only I need to calculate something called as possible budget hours. Calendar variance not applicable, only two things are required, because I am going to calculate only 5 variances. Calendar variance will not arise. So this is nothing but the requirement which you should always have. Now what we will do, let us start with the problem. So we will discuss on how do we calculate fixed overhead variance. Then in the problem itself, let us discuss quickly about your variable overhead variance, because that's quite simple. Same as your labor variances, we need to calculate your variable overhead variance. So now let us start working with your problems. Problem number 8. Okay, so let us quickly start with your solution to problem number 8. Solution to something called as problem number 8. Right? Now, solution to problem number 8. Solution to problem number 8. Now, let us start with this. Budget is given, actually is given, output is given. Budgeted output was 30,000, 30. Okay. Let us move on to solution number 9. Then we'll come back to problem number 8. Okay, solution number 9. Solution to problem number 9. So let us focus on problem number 9 first. The following information is available from the records of the factory. Budget is given, actual is given. Fixed overhead, budget is given, actual is given. That's what I said. Generally, fixed overhead will be directly given, budget and actual. So ultimately, by looking at the problem itself, I can simply say my expenditure variance. Because expenditure variance is what difference of your budget and actual. Done. One variance by looking at the problem, I can easily say. Even if you look at the 8th problem, budget overhead was 45. Actual overhead was 50. So ultimately budget minus actual is nothing but your expenditure. So 45 minus 50, 5,000 adverse. So by looking at the problem, I can easily say one variance. So how many other variants are there? 5 variants. Only 5 variance you need to calculate. Of the 5 variance, if you calculate your observed, you can easily calculate 2 variances. What? Cost as well as your volume. So you will be left with only 2 variance, which is nothing but your efficiency, which is nothing but your calendar variance. Now, let us see here. Standard time per unit 10 units per hour. Standard time per unit in hours. That means in 10 hours you can produce 1 unit. Actual hours worked. So actual hours worked is given as 21,000 is the actual hours worked. Production budgeted product capacity is 2,000. Actual production is going to be 2,100. So now, what is my requirement? In this, what happened? In this case, I need to first of all find out. See, now let us discuss on something called as the calendar variance. Generally, what is the meaning of calendar variance? Whenever your budgeted days are different, actual days are different. So if you look into the problem number 8, budgeted days is 25, actual days is 26. So there is a difference in budgeted days and there is a difference in your actual days. So that creates some sort of your calendar. So difference in your days will result in your calendar variance. So now coming to 9th problem, there is no number of days given. So as the days are not given, I need not calculate my calendar variance. So calendar variance is overruled. So we are not going to calculate our calendar variance. Now what I need to calculate? I need to calculate something called as my cost variance. I need to calculate something called as my expenditure variance. I need to calculate something called as my volume variance. So even in this problem, he is not asking you to calculate your capacity. He is not asking you to calculate your efficiency. These 2 things are not required. Only 3 things are required. So ultimately, if I one variance we had strictly calculated. What is that? Cost. Expenditure variance. Budget minus actual. Budget was 10,000. Actually is 12,000. So 2,000 adverse. I can strictly say. Now if I calculate my observed, I can easily calculate what? My cost variance as well as my volume variance. So now same as usual, let us prepare your statement there. Statement for calculation of your variances. Let us put a small statement. Statement for computation of fixed overhead variances. Statement for computation of fixed overhead variances. So in this, what? Initially I need to take something called as type of variance. I need to take type of variance. Then I need to consider something called as a formula. Then what? Then I need to consider something called as the inputs which are required. Then ultimately the last column is going to be something called as our variance. So let us try to prepare our variances in this format. In this format, let us try to prepare. Clear? Now, type of variance. Type of variance. So now what is my first type of variance he is asking? He is asking you to calculate something called as the fixed overhead cost variance. That's what is the first one. What is the formula? Observed fixed overhead minus actual fixed overhead. The angle between observed and your actual. The angle between observed and actual is going to give you something called as the cost variance. Now, what are the 2 things which is required? I require something called as my observed fixed overhead value is required. I need to know something called as my actual fixed overhead. Now if I know these 2, the difference of this is going to give me something called as my cost variance. So that's what is going to be my first set of variance which I am supposed to calculate. Then second, what is the second variance he is asking? He is asking you to determine something called as your expenditure variance. So take your fixed overhead expenditure variance. Write down the formula. What is the formula? Budgeted fixed overhead minus actual fixed overhead. So if I know the budget, if I know the actual, then budget fixed overhead, actual fixed overhead, I need to consider there. The difference of this is going to give me something called as my expenditure variance. So I need to compute this difference. So this difference is something called as my expenditure variance. Then the next variance is something called as the fixed overhead volume variance. What is the form of a volume variance? One which changes, one which does not change. What changes? Absorbed fixed overhead changes. What does not change? Budget fixed overhead does not change. So if I know my absorbed, if I know my budget, then the difference is going to give me something called as my expenditure variance. Sorry, volume variance. So this difference is something called as a volume variance. So I need to compute this difference there. So these are the basic things which you are supposed to calculate. Few information are given directly. So whatever information given directly, I can consider directly. What I know, actual fixed overheads I know, budget fixed overheads I know. So now let us go to your problem. Just simply take the values there. Actual is 12,000, budget is 10,000. So let us come here. Actual is 10,000. So take here your actual fixed overheads should be 10,000. 10,000. So actual fixed overheads is 10,000. Budget fixed overhead is 12,000. So wherever you are having budget, take that as 12,000. Where you are having actual, take that as 10,000. So now we have considered everything. Now only one thing is required, observed. If I calculate the observed, my problem is done. Now let us see how do you calculate something called as the observed fixed overheads. Observed. Okay, let us do in the next page here. So calculation of your observed fixed overhead, let us try to do. Calculation of observed fixed overheads. So initially till you get used, let us try to adapt both the patterns here. Based upon units, based upon hours. Okay? Based upon units or based upon hours. Initially, what is your step number 1? Step number 1, whatever you do, you are supposed to come to your budgeted. Your budgeted fixed overhead in rupees is going to be 12,000. 12,000. Now what is required? I require base. If I do based upon units, my base is what? Units. Now go to the problem. The problem says what? Budgeted units is 2,000. So budgeted units is what? 2,000 is nothing but your budgeted units. So consider here to be 2,000 units. 2,000 units. Now regarding the base for hours, you need to calculate the base in terms of hours. For that, what is the logic which is given in the problem? The problem clearly says 1 unit requires how many hours? 10 hours. So the problem specifies here that 1 unit requires 10 hours. What is my budgeted units? My budgeted units is nothing but 2,000 units. My budgeted units is 2,000. To produce this 2,000, how many hours is required? 2,000 into 10. My budgeted hours is going to be 20,000. So my budgeted hours is going to be what? 20,000 is nothing but my budgeted hours. So that part is done. Now, third. What is third? Third is nothing but your rate per base. Rate per base. Either your base is units or your base is hours, rate per hour or rate per unit. Now if I calculate, how do we do this? 1 divided by 2. So 12,000 divided by 2,000. 12,000 divided by 2,000, that is going to give you 6 rupees per unit. What is this? 6 rupees per unit. Now 12,000 divided by 20,000 is going to give you 60 pies per hour. So here your base was unit, you got 6 rupees per unit. Here your base is what? Hour, you got 60 pies per hour. Now what is your fourth step? Fourth step, I need to calculate something called as standard hours per actual output. This is not required if you do based on units. This is required if you do based upon hours only. Now standard hours per actual output. Now what the problem says? Standard is what? Same. 3 things are required. Standard output. What is my standard output? 1 unit. The problem says to produce a standard output of 1 unit, I need to input 10 hours. My actual output is what? The problem is specifying your actual output to be what? Actual output is production in July, actual 2100. So the actual says 2100. So actual output is going to be 2100 units. Now to produce 1 unit I require 10 hours. To produce 2100 units, how many hours? 2100 into 10, that gives you 21,000 hours. So you are getting something called as 21,000 hours. What is this called as? Standard hours for actual output. Now you see how many actual hours you had used. You had used how many hours? 21,000. You are supposed to do the task in 21,000. You are doing the task in 21,000. So what is your efficiency? You are not over efficient, you are not under efficient. So the given time is 3 hours. You are writing your exam in 3 hours. That means your efficiency is what? 100%. So ultimately there is no variance. So your allotted time is 21. You are doing the task in 21. So ultimately I cannot say there is any sort of variance which you are having in terms of your efficiency. So that's what is the reason for which the problem is not asking me to calculate something called as your efficiency variance. Then if we go to the solution part. So now what is my next step? My next step is nothing but calculation of something called as my observed fixed points. So when I calculate based on units, what I will do, I'll simply multiply step 3 with my actual output into actual output. What was your actual output? 2100. So step 3 into 2100. Whereas if I do based upon hours, step 3 into step 4. Now here observed fixed hours will be what? 2100 into 6. 2100 into 6. You are getting 12,600. Here 2000. Now what I have to do? I have to multiply something called as what? Step 3. What is my step 3? Rate per hour into what? Standard hours for actual output. What is my standard hours for actual output? 21,000. So 21,000 into 0.6 is should also give me the same thing, 12,600. See, whatever mode you adopt, whether you adopt based upon units, whether you adopt based upon hours, you should always get the same thing. Otherwise there is no point. So here your observed fixed overhead is what? 12,600. Now let us come here. Wherever you are having observed fixed overheads, there you apply it as 12,600 here. And in your volume variance also you put this as 12,600. So you are getting this as 12,600. Now cost variance 12,600 minus my actual cost 10,000. My cost variance is going to be what? This difference. Okay. I need to put it here. So 12,600 minus 10,000, the difference is going to be 2,600. 2,600 favorable. 2,600 favorable. Now expenditure variance, I should incur 12,000, but I am incurring 10,000, so 2,000 rupees favorable. So here also you are getting something called as favorable. Now your observed fixed overhead is 12,600. Budget fixed overhead is also 12,000. So ultimately the difference is what? 600 favorable. So here again if I put a control check. So if I go to the control check, what is my control check? Expenditure plus volume is equal to cost. So expenditure variance plus volume variance is equal to cost variance. What is my expenditure variance? 2,000. What is my volume variance? 6,000. So ultimately, which is equal to 2,600 favorable, which is nothing but my cost variance. So your answer is absolutely right. So here there is no efficiency and there is no capacity difference. As the base is not given, calendar variance will not arise at all. So that's what is the basis of calculation of your overheads. Now with this background, let us move on to problem number 8 and try to understand the problem number 8. Solution to problem number 8. Solution to problem number 8. Let us try to work out your solution to problem number 8. Now, let us quickly read what is the problem number 8. Output is given, budget is given, actual is given, hours is given, budget hours is given, actual hours is given. So ultimately, as budget hours and actual hours is given, so if you observe here one more thing in the previous problem, the previous problem, if you observe, if you observe here, okay, so what was your budget hours there? My budgeted hours is going to be 20,000. So ultimately, sorry, here my actual hours worked is 21,000. Standard hours for actual output is also going to be 21,000. That's the reason I am not able to calculate the efficiency. Now let us go to the problem number 8. Budget hours is given, fixed overheads is given, variable overheads is also given, days is given. As the days is given, what will happen? I need to also calculate something called as my, I need to also calculate what? My calendar variance also. And what I had mentioned, whenever you are able to calculate your calendar variance, you need to calculate something called as possible budget hours. I need to calculate something called as possible budget hours is the thing which I am supposed to calculate. Clear? So now let us quickly do understand what is required. You need to calculate something called as cost variance. You need to calculate something called as expenditure variance. You need to calculate something called as volume variance. You need to calculate something called as efficiency. You need to calculate something called as capacity. You need to also calculate something called as calendar. So total 6 variants you are supposed to calculate. But whatever problem it is, by looking at the problem, one variance you can easily answer. What is that? Expenditure variance. How do I calculate my expenditure variance? The difference of my budget and actual. My budget is 45. Actually is 50. 45,000 minus 50,000, 5,000 adverse is going to be my expenditure variance. If I know my observed, I can calculate 2 more variants. Cost variance, volume variance. What is cost variance? Observed minus actual will give you cost variance. Observed minus budget will give you your volume variance. So if I know one variable, slightly I can calculate something called as what? My 3 variants I can easily find out. Then 3 variants are there. Efficiency variance, capacity variance, calendar variance. So these are the other 3 variances which you are supposed to calculate. Now, efficiency variance we have discussed. Standard hours for actual output I have to calculate minus actual hours, the difference into something called as standard budgeted rate, because volume variance always the difference in hours should be multiplied into a standard rate. Whether it is an efficiency, whether it is a calendar, whether it is a capacity, whatever it is, the difference should be always multiplied into your budget rate. Coming to capacity, what we are going to do, we are trying to take the difference between your actual hours 33,000, budget hours 30,000. That difference should be multiplied with something called as the budget rate. That will give you something called as the capacity variance. Okay. Now, as you are having number of days, in the place of budget hours, what I will be considering? Possible budget hours I will be calculating. So now, basically 3 requirements are there. What are those 3 requirements? As I already mentioned, to do any problem in your fixed overhead variance, you need to calculate 3 things. 1, observed. 2nd, standard hours for actual output. 3rd, if calendar variance is there, possible budgeted hours. So these are the 3 variables which you are supposed to calculate. If you calculate these 3, the problem is nothing. The problem is simply application, right? Now, what I will do, I want you to prepare this set of statement. I want you to prepare statement for computation of fixed overheads or leaving the place here. So you are supposed to prepare statement for computation of fixed overhead, type of variance, formula, input variance to calculate, fixed cost, write down the formula, observed fixed overhead minus your actual fixed overhead. In the input you take the both, in the difference column you take the difference. So then, like that you have to consider expenditure variance, volume variance, efficiency variance, capacity variance, as well as your calendar variance. Now, calendar variance formula we have not discussed. Now we will discuss the formula for your calendar variance. So, okay, let me update it here itself. So let us go back to the first statement. There only let us update the formula for your calendar variance. So what is the formula for your calendar variance? It's very simple. You are supposed to calculate your possible budget hours whenever there is a calendar variance. So how do we calculate the calendar variance? Possible budget hours minus budget hours. So what I am trying to do? Finding out the difference between possible budget hours and my budget hours. This I will multiply with my budget rate. Always volume variance, whether it is an efficiency, whether it is a capacity, whether it is a calendar, always that difference should be multiplied with your budget. So that gives you a calendar variance. So now we know all the formulas. Just simply you prepare this statement. Directly I will go to the working notes. Okay. So once we do the working notes, I want you to calculate all the variances, because we'll calculate these three requirements. What? Absorb. We'll calculate something called as work. Standard hours per actual output for this problem. We'll also calculate something called as well possible fixed overheads. So I will explain you how do you calculate something called as well efficiency variance, calendar variance, capacity variance. So the rest of the three variants I want you to prepare in this statement. So you prepare first of all a statement for calculation. Then what is required? I require two things. One, working note. Let us put a heading of working notes here. Working note. In the first one, what we are doing? Calculation of absorbed fixed overheads. So for the time being, as you should know in both the methods, let us calculate this based on units. Let us calculate this based on hours also. Okay. In your examination, both the methods are not required. For your understanding, I am trying to explain the same problem in units method and also in hours method. But once you are doing your examination, the same problem arises there. You can do only in one method. Either you adopt unit method or you adopt hours method. Whatever method you feel comfortable, you simply adopt that method. Then, okay. First step. What is my first step? My first step is always take your budgeted fixed overheads. What is my budgeted fixed overheads? Let us go back to the problem. There it is mentioned my budgeted fixed overheads should be 45,000. So let us quickly come here. Take here and update the value to be 45,000 rupees. So this remains the same. Whether you are trying to calculate based on units or hours, my budget cost will remain the same as 45. Then you go to step number 2. What is my step number 2? Take the base. What is the base? Units and hours is the base. Now let us see the problem here. He is telling you output is, budget output is 30,000, budget hours is also 30,000. Budget output is 30, budget hours is also 30. So here let us come and update this to be 30,000 units and this is to be 30,000 hours. 30,000 units and 30,000 hours. Now let us quickly go to the third step. What is third step? Rate per base. What is the meaning of that? Either it could be rate per unit or it could be rate per hour. So how you are calculating that? 1 by 2. 1 divided by 2. That means what? 45,000 divided by 30,000 units is going to give you 1.5 rupees per unit. 1.5 rupees per unit. 45,000 divided by 30,000 gives you 1.5 rupees per hour. So this gives you 1.5 rupees per unit, 1.5 rupees per hour. Then what is the next one? The next one is generally applicable only for the hours basis but not for the units basis. What is this? Calculation of something called as standard hours for something called as for actual output. I need to calculate this. So how you are calculating that? I need to calculate for 30,000 units. Standard output is what? See, same as your calculation of your labor. What is my requirement? Standard output is required. What is my standard output? 30,000 units is my standard output. For producing this 30,000, how many hours I have to spend? What is my standard input in hours? 30,000 hours. Then what is the other thing is required? Actual output. What is your actual output? Go to the problem. See what is your actual output there? Output in units is 32,500. So I need to consider this as what? 32,500. So actual output is 32,500. How many hours? That means 32,500 into 30 divided by 30 gives me what? 32,500 hours. You are getting something called as 32,500 hours. It's nothing but a cross multiplication. 32,500 into 30,000 divided by 30,000, that gives you 32,000 hours. Then coming to step number 5, we are trying to calculate something called as absorbed overheads there. Step number 5, absorbed fixed overheads. So here what we'll be doing? Step 3 into actual output. Here what? Step 3 into step 4. What is my step 3? 1.5. So here if I calculate 1.5 into my actual output. What was your actual output? 32,500. When you calculate based on hours, step 3, what is the step 3? 1.5. 1.5 into step 4. What is step 4? Standard hours for actual output. What is the standard hours for actual output? 32,500. So what you are getting? 1.5 into 32,500 is going to give you 48,750. 48,750. Now you got your absorbed. So as you got your absorbed, you can now easily calculate your cost variance. Now let us go to the problem. What is my fixed cost variance? Fixed overhead cost variance is nothing but your absorbed minus actual. You know your absorbed to be 48,750. What is your actual? Your actual overhead is what? 50,000. So this minus 50,000 gives me the cost variance. So how much? 48,750 minus 50,000, 1,250 adverse. So 1,250 adverse is something called as my cost variance. Then my expenditure variance. So already we have discussed expenditure variance to be budget minus actual. What is your budget? 45. What is your actual? 5. So ultimately 5,000 adverse is going to be my expenditure variance. Then what is your volume variance? We know that one which changes, one which does not change. Absorbed changes 48,750, whereas budget will not change, that will remain same as 45,000. So 48,750 minus 45,000, that is going to give you 3,750 favorable. So 3,750 favorable. Now let us check. My volume plus expenditure should be equal to cost. Volume is what? 3,750 favorable. Expenditure is what? 5,000 adverse. So that means 3,750 minus 5,000 is going to give me minus 1,250, which is nothing but 12,000, 1,250 adverse. So your answer is absolutely right. Now let us focus on calculation of your other three variances. So how do you calculate your other three variances? Efficiency variance I need to calculate, capacity variance I need to calculate, and calendar variance I need to calculate. Now let us quickly come here, and to calculate this, two other parameters are required. Already we have calculated one. So what is the second requirement? First requirement is always this. Second requirement is what? Absorbed fixed overhead. What is my absorbed fixed overhead? Sorry, not absorbed fixed overhead, standard hours for actual. So second requirement is what? Standard hours for actual output. Standard hours for actual output. So standard hours for actual output is something which I should consider. So what is that? Already we have calculated that to be 32,500 hours. So that I will consider. Third is one more requirement which I should consider. So if I calculate this, we can easily apply the formulas and calculate about other variances. Now, what? Third thing is nothing but your possible budgeted hours. What I have to calculate? Possible budgeted hours I should calculate. How do I calculate possible budgeted hours? Possible budgeted hours is very simple. Take your budgeted hours. Okay? If I go to the problem here, let us see. The problem says you are budgeting for 25 days. In these 25 days, you are budgeting for 30,000 hours. But in reality, you are working for 26. That means your budget hours should be more. My possible budget hours should be more. So what I am trying to do, the formula there is nothing but budgeted hours divided by budgeted days. You take your budget hours, divide this with your budget days. What will be getting? Budgeted hour per day you will be getting. Into what I will do? This I will multiply with something called as my actual days. Now if the same thing I apply here, my budgeted hours is nothing but 30,000. Budgeted days is nothing but 25. But actually you are working for 26. So what could be my possible budget for budgeted hours? 30,000 divided by 25 into 26. That gives you 31,200. So 31,200 is nothing but your possible budgeted hours. Now all the information which is required for calculation of your variance is there. So I am explaining it here, but you update everything in the above format. Okay. So now I am writing this variances of these three in the format. So what is my three variances now I need to calculate? Remaining three variances you update in the format. Now the other three variances I am doing it. What is my next variance here? My next variance is nothing but something called as type of variance fixed overhead efficiency variance. In the type of variance, fixed overhead efficiency variance. What is the formula? Difference in hours. What difference in hours? Standard hours for actual output minus your actual hours, standard hours for actual output minus actual hours. As this forms part of my efficient volume variance, I have to multiply this with your budget rate. Now, as you are taking hours, you should multiply this with your budget rate per hour. Now, everything is there. Standard hours for actual output. What is your standard hours for actual output? Standard hours for actual output is going to be 32,500. So, standard hours for actual output 32,500. What is your actual hours? If I look into the actual hours, I had done this in 33,000, but whereas I am supposed to do this task in what? 30,500, but I had done this task in 30,000. So now what I need to do? Find out this difference. This difference should be multiplied with your rate, or simply what I can do, as we have done your labor and material variance, so I can just simply change this as like this: standard hours into budget rate you take minus actual hours into budget rate, or simply take the difference of hours, multiply that with your budget rate. Whatever way you feel comfortable, you can do it. So actual hours into budget rate. So what I will do? Simply I will take the difference. I am going to take the difference. What is the difference? 32,500 is my standard for actual, whereas my actual is what? 33. So I had used more hours. Now what is my budgeted rate per hour? My budgeted rate per hour was, I guess, 1.5 rupees. So 1.5 rupees per hour. So into 1.5. So how much you are getting? 32,500 minus 13,000 adverse into 1.5 gives you 750 adverse. So here you are getting what? 750 adverse as your variance. That's what is your efficiency. Difference in hours multiplied by your budget. What hours? Standard hours for actual output and actual hours. Then coming to your next variance, which is nothing but your fixed overhead capacity variance. Generally, if calendar is not there, actual minus budget. But if the calendar is there, actual minus possible. So two formulas depending upon the situation: actual minus budget hours, or actual hours minus possible budget hours. So whenever you are having calendar variance, I will be taking the possible budget hours. What I have to do? This multiplied with your budget rate. Always volume variance is nothing but difference in hours. That difference in hours should be multiplied with your standard or budget rate. Now what is your actual hours? The actual hours in the problem is what? 33,000. So actual hours is 33,000 is my actual hours minus possible budget hours. What was your possible budget hours? 31,200. So possible budget hours is going to be 31,200. This difference I have to multiply with my standard budget rate 1.5. So 33,000 minus 31,200 into 1.5 is going to give you a favorable 2,700 favorable. So 2,700 favorable is the variance. Now finally the last variance, which is nothing but your calendar variance. So how do I calculate my calendar variance? Calendar variance is something possible budgeted hours minus my budgeted hours into budget rate is going to give me my fixed overhead calendar variance. Possible budget hours we have just calculated to be 31,200. Budget overheads we know that to be 30,000. So 31,200 minus 30,000 into 1.5. Right. So let us see here. What is your budgeted? Your budgeted hours is 30,000. Now this difference is going to give you a calendar variance. What is the difference there? 31,200 minus 30,000 into 1.5. The difference is 1,800 favorable. 1,800 favorable. What was your volume variance? Your volume variance already. Okay, here we have calculated your volume variance. Let us see the question here. What is my volume variance? I am telling that my volume variance is 3,750. Let us check that. Let us prove it. Volume variance is equal to efficiency variance, capacity variance, calendar variance. Now, if I do the total, what is my efficiency variance? My efficiency variance is 750 adverse, so let us consider minus 750. My capacity variance is 2700 positive, let us consider as plus 2700. My calendar variance is 1800 positive, favorable, let us consider as plus 1800. So 1800 plus 2700 minus 750 is going to give me 3750. So 3750 favorable is nothing but my volume variance. So your answer is absolutely right. So you calculate the other variances also in the following pattern. You prepare the statement, you update those three variants also there. That's what is nothing but end of your 8th problem. So we are done with your 8th problem, we are done with your 9th problem. So now let us quickly move on to something called as your 10th problem. Okay, 10th problem. See, generally from the examination point of view, yeah, okay, one thing I have forgot here. So let us do that and let us go on to the 10th problem. Here, this problem is also asking you to compute something called as the variable warhead variance. That let us do. Then we'll move on to the 10th problem. So now, variable warhead variance. Calculation of variable warhead variance, which is same as your labor. Only three variants will be there: variable warhead cost variance, variable warhead expenditure variance, variable warhead efficiency variance. How do you calculate your expenditure variance? Same. Difference in rate. Budgeted rate minus actual rate into what? Actual. It's the same formula which you had applied for your labor, you are going to apply. Efficiency variance. Same formula for your labor, same formula for your fixed overhead efficiency variance. That means what I have to do? Standard hours for actual output. Standard hours for actual output minus actual hours into budget rate. Budget rate. Then what is your variable cost variance? Observed fixed overhead minus actual. Same thing as you do for your fixed overhead cost variance, the same pattern I need to adapt. So that's what is something called as the variable overhead cost variance. Now, let us try to do the problem now. Here he is giving you variable overhead as 60,000, variable overhead to be 68,000. Okay, you calculate your absorption rate. Based upon the absorption rate, you try to calculate your absorbed overheads. You calculate standard hours for actual output. So standard hours for actual output remains the same. Whatever you have calculated for your fixed overheads, that remains the same here. So only what I need to do, I need to find out my absorption rate, and I need to find out that's it. So if I know that, I can easily find out everything. So now let us quickly come here and do one by one. Okay, cost. First one is nothing but your cost variance. So how do you calculate the cost variance? Absorption overhead rate into, so now let us do this problem based on units. Absorption rate per unit you consider into actual output you consider. So what I will be getting? I will be simply getting my absorbed overheads minus actual overheads. That's it. Now let us find out the rate. How do I find out the rate? Budgeted variable overhead divided by budgeted output. What is your budgeted variable overhead? Go to the question. The budgeted variable overhead is going to be 60,000. Take that as what? 60,000. 60,000. What is your budgeted output? Budgeted output is going to be what? Budgeted output is going to be 30,000. You divide this with 30,000. So you will be getting your rate. How much? 2 rupees per unit. So now, what is my cost variance there? 2 rupees into what was your actual output? Your actual output was 32,500. So your actual output is 32,500. So now let us come here into 32,500. We'll be getting your absorbed minus actual overhead. What is your actual overhead given? Your actual overhead given is 68,000. So minus 68,000 I have to consider. 68,000. Now 32,500 into 2 is going to give you 65,000. 65,000 minus 68,000, you are getting something called as 3,000 adverse. So 3,000 adverse is something called as the cost variance. Now we need to do something called as the expenditure variance. So how do we calculate your expenditure variance? Difference in rate, budget rate minus actual rate into actual hours. So now, or simply the other line, what I can do, I'll multiply. So actual hours into budget rate minus actual hours into actual rate. Actual hours into actual. Why we are doing? Because actual hours into actual rate we know. Actual hours into actual rate is what? Is nothing but your actual variable overhead 68,000. So directly I can consider this part as 68,000. What is your actual hours? The actual hours given in the problem is what? Actual hours is 33,000. So you are working for 33,000 hours. So actual hours is going to be 33,000. 33,000 into budget rate. What is your budget rate? Oh, I need to find out budget rate per unit. We had find out your budget rate per unit. Now I need to find out budget rate per hour also. Already we have done that. Here, what is your budget rate per hour? Here you have calculated your budget rate per hour to be. Let us go here. Which problem you are doing? 8th. Yeah, 8th one. So we had calculated that to be 1.5 rupees per hour. Okay. We had calculated for your fixed overheads. The same way I need to calculate for your variable overhead also. Let us calculate that. Budget rate per hour. So how do I calculate your budget rate per hour? Take your budgeted variable overhead, divide that with your budgeted hours, you will be getting this. What is your budgeted variable overhead? Your budgeted variable overhead was 60,000. Budgeted hours was 3,000. So ultimately same, 2 rupees per hour. So in this case, it remains the same. So let us come here. Budget overhead is 60,000. Budget hours is going to be 30,000. So ultimately what? 2 rupees per hour. So ultimately what? 33,000 into 2, that gives you 66,000. 66,000 minus 68,000, that gives you 2,000 adverse. So here you are getting your expenditure variance as 2,000 adverse. Then the last one is nothing but your volume efficiency variance. So variable overhead efficiency variance. So how do you calculate your efficiency variance? Efficiency variance is nothing but your standard hours for actual output minus actual hours into budget rate per hour. So standard hours for actual output will not change. Whatever you are having for your fixed overhead variance, the same thing will continue. So what was that? Standard hours for actual output is 32,500. So simply take this as 32,500. 32,500. What is your actual hours? Your actual hours was 33,000. So take here as 33,000 minus 33,000. Thus into your budget rate per hour, 2 rupees per hour. So ultimately 32,500 minus 33,500 adverse into 2 rupees, that is going to give you 1,000. So here you are getting something called as 1,000 adverse. Okay, 1,000 adverse is the thing which you are getting. Now you cross. Cost variance is equal to expenditure variance plus your efficiency. What is my expenditure? 2,000. What is my efficiency? 1,000. So 2,000 plus 1,000 gives me 3,000. What is my cost variance? My is 3,000. So your answer is absolutely right. So that's what is the basis of calculation of your variable overhead variance. Now with this background, let us get into something called as problem number 10. Right, so now let us move on to problem number 11. Okay, so following information relates to labor of KP Limited. This is again a problem based on labor. 11th and 12th problem are based upon labor. This is slightly different as compared to the other models. Okay, now let us see problem number 11. Following information relates to KP Limited. Skilled, semi-skilled, unskilled. Number of workers in a gang. Standard number is 12, 8, 5, 25. Standard rate per hour is given as 75, 50, 40. Number of workers in actual gang, the total is 25, the breakup is not known. Skilled I don't know, semi-skilled I don't know, unskilled I don't know. We need to identify that. Standard output of the gang was 12 units per hour. That means in 1 hour they are going to produce 12 units. Why this information is given? Obviously standard hours for actual output. 1 hour you are producing 12 units. Now let us see what is your actual output. So based upon the actual output, I can easily calculate something called as standard hours for actual output. The gang was engaged for 200 hours during the month of April. So how many hours they have engaged? They have engaged for 200 hours. out of which 20 hours was lost due to patient breakdown. So actually you are supposed to work for 200, but you are working only for 200 minus 20, 180. So 20 hours was lost due to machine breakdown. 225 units of the product was produced. That means actual output is 2295. Actual output is 2295. Now with this information and this information, can't I find out standard hours for actual output? So here, what is your standard output? 12 units. The standard output here is what? 12 units. To produce this standard output, how many hours you need to put? You need to put 1 hour. So in 1 hour, you should produce 12 units. 2295 is in how many hours? That means what I will do, 2295 into 1 divided by 12 if we do, we will be getting the corresponding hours, standard hours for actual output. You can easily find it. So that's the base of it. We'll come to the client stage. Now, what else is given? Actual number of skilled workers was 2 times that of semi-skilled. If you were semi-skilled workers or X. Okay, so what this point says? Actual number of skilled workers or twice that of semi-skilled. If my semi-skilled I assume to be X, what is my skilled? My skilled number of workers is going to be 2x. Say suppose for an example, if you are getting X as 10, then ultimately semi-skilled will be 20. So like that I need to find out. Or if you get semi-skilled as 5, your skilled will be what? 2 into 5, 10. Now what will be your unskilled? I know the total. I know the total number of workers to be 25. And I know that semi-skilled is 2x. Semi-skilled is X. So ultimately, what will be my unskilled counts is suppose semi-skilled is 5, skilled is 10. So total skilled plus semi-skilled is how much? 15. Then what is the difference? 25 minus 15, unskilled is 10. So ultimately, total is 25 of the 2x of the X. That means what will be my unskilled? Unskilled count is going to be 25 minus 3x. How you are getting 3x? 2x plus x is going to be 3x. So total 25 of the skilled is 5, semi-skilled is 5, skilled is 10. So it might be 25 minus 15. How you are getting? In the same fashion, 25 minus 3x you will be getting. Now, what is given? Total labor mixed variance. What is the meaning of mixed variance? The mixed variance is something called as the gang variance. Labor gang variance is what? 10,000 rupees. So the problem has given you gang variance. Now, with this information, what is asking? Actual number of workers in each category, labor rate variance. You are required to calculate the following. What you are required to calculate? Only 2 things. Actual number of workers in each category, labor rate variance. So only these 2 information you are supposed to calculate. Okay. These 2 things you are supposed to calculate. That's it. So clue is what? This is the clue which is given. See, always whenever you are doing this sort of problems, the problem looks quite complicated. But once you start doing the problem, ultimately that problem will follow in your practice. So how we should approach? So to do this type of problems, approach should be there. First you need to understand what information is given. Then based upon this you should always ascertain what is written. So what information is given? This information is given. Mixed variance. So now let us go to your solution sheet. There let us put something called as solution to problem number 11. Solution to problem number 11. Now he is asking you 2 things. One, number of workers. Other one, rate variance. So now always I should not disturb the pattern. So first whatever the examiner asks I need to present that. Whatever the other things which are required for doing that you should put as a part of your work notes. First, take the information what is required. So he is asking you to determine something called as number of workers, actual number of workers I need to find out. So here skilled, semi-skilled, unskilled. So actual number of workers, he is asking you to find out what? Let us read the line again. Calculate the actual number of workers in each category. I know at present only the total. I know just simply my total of all the categories of workers is 25. I know that. But I need to calculate this breakup. We'll come to that. So first you prepare a statement. What is required? Then what is the second one he's asking? The second one he's asking is nothing but your labor rate variance. So you take that as what? Labor rate variance. So I need to find out something called as labor rate variance. So how do I calculate this? Labor rate variance. How do I calculate the labor rate variance? Simply put the formula. Rate variance is something which is nothing but the difference in rate. Difference in standard rate minus difference in actual rate multiplied with something called as the actual hours. That's it. If I do this, I'll be getting something called as my labor rate variance. Now, there are three different categories of workers. At present, I don't know what information I have, what information I don't have. That I don't know. Now, let us try to put everything in a small table. Skilled, semi-skilled, and the last one is going to be something called as unskilled. So skilled, semi-skilled, and let us make this as something called as unskilled, right? Skilled, semi-skilled, and here let us call it as unskilled. So what is the requirement here? Try to check up your standard rate, try to take up your actual rate. So now go to the problem. Just simply take the information which is available. If you take the information which is available, then you can understand what information is not there. What are the information which is available? So how you can make a synchronize between information available and not available, and how you can find out the missing figures. That's what is the only one thing which you should always do in costing. If you adopt this pattern, then any problem in costing will become very easy. Now here what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to take up the information which is available. What information is required? Standard rate available, actual rate available. So now let us take standard rate for your skilled workers is 75. So let us come here. Take your standard rate to be 75. Okay. First let us take the standard rate for all. Skilled, the standard rate is 75. For semi-skilled, the standard rate is 50. And for the unskilled, the standard rate is 40. 50, 40. Now, what is required? Difference of my actual rate is required. Now let us see what is your actual rate. 80, 48, 42. 80, 48, 42. 80, 48 and 42 because now what I don't know, actual hours I don't know. Actual hours is the thing which I need to calculate. At present I don't know the actual hours, because how do I find out actual hours? If you go to the problem says you should work for 200, 20 hours is lost. That means every worker, one worker is working for 180 hours. One worker is working for 180 hours. Like that, how many total workers are there? 25. You are having a total 25 workers. That means what should be your total working hours there? 180 into 25. So, your total actual hours is what? 4,500. But how I have to do this? This total 4,500, I need a breakup. That means what? 180 into number of skilled, 180 into number of semi-skilled, 180 into number of unskilled. If I do this, I will be getting my total duration of hours. So that part I need to calculate. If I know that, then I can know my actual hours. Then rest of the problem becomes quite simple. Then rest of the problem we can easily complete. So here, this total I have to calculate. What is my total actual hours? 4,500. I need a breakup of this 4,500. That's what we need to calculate. Okay. Now let us try to get into that. So this is the basic requirement we need to have. So I need to find out something called as actual hours. That's the only key point is what actual hours. If I try to find out my actual hours, I can easily find out my number of workers. Why? Because how do you calculate your actual number of workers? It's very simple. Basically, number of workers into hours worked by each worker. So here the problem clearly says number of workers is what? The total number of workers in the factory is going to be 25. That's what is given. And the problem is also telling you that total duration is 200 of the 20 hours is lost. That means each worker is spending only for 180 hours. So here, what is the meaning of this? 25 workers are spending 180 hours. So 25 into 180, that is going to give you 4,500. So you are getting this as what? 4,500 is the duration. 4,500 hours is the total. So I got the total number of actual hours. But my requirement is what? I need to find out how many actual hours worked by skilled, how many actual hours worked by semi-skilled, how many actual hours worked by unskilled. So if I know that, ultimately I can easily find out my number of workers or vice versa, whatever it is. So this information is there. So if let me try to explain you in one way, then we'll try to do it actually how we should suppose to do. So suppose in this situation, if you try to do like this, as you know the total, and we know that skilled are there, semi-skilled are there, unskilled are there. So what you had considered here you had considered what? If you go to the problem, there we had written one thing, what? Here we had written that what? Skilled 2x, semi-skilled x, unskilled 25 minus 3. So now, if I write like this, let us see what will happen. 2x, x, 25 minus x. So what is this equal to? This total is equal to 25. This total is equal to 25. Now if I try, 25 minus 3x. So 25 minus 3x. So if I try to solve the problem like this, 2x plus x, 3x plus 3x minus x, ultimately 3x and 3x will get cancelled. So ultimately I cannot find out anything. So I cannot approach in this way. And also if you try to do in the other way, what we had mentioned, each worker will work for 180. That means if I put it like this, 180 2x into 180 hours, x into 180 hours, 25 into 180 hours. Then also, as I know the total, what is this total equal to? The total is equal to 4,500 hours. Total is coming to what? 4,500. 2x into 180, 360x, 180 into x, 180x, 25 into 180, that you are getting 4,500, minus 180 into 3, you are getting 540x. Now, this closed, x is gone. So even I cannot adopt working in this pattern. So we got stuck. That is the reason in this problem, a clue and a logic has been provided. A key is there. Now we should try to understand the key again. So it's very simple. So problem he is asking you to find out number of workers. I know the total, the split I need to find out. And he is asking you to find out your actual labor rate. You know the formula, standard rate minus actual rate into actual hours. You know the standard rate and actual rate, but you don't know the actual hours. So you got stuck there. Then what we have done, as we know the total amount of actual hours, so I am trying to equate skilled is 2x, semi-skilled is x, unskilled is 25 minus 3. Into this, total hours should be 4,500 hours. But once I try to equate, I am not able to find out the x factor. The x factor got automatically cancelled. So there is no choice for me. So I cannot adopt this pattern. So as I can't adopt this pattern, I need to find out the clue which is given. What is the clue? The clue now is something called as labor gang variance or something called as labor mix variance. What is the labor gang variance which is given? Now you have to take the clue. See, without the reason, that information would be provided in the problem. So that's the reason, without considering this, we try to calculate, because I just need to find out my actual hours. If I know that, rest of the problem becomes quite simple. So I don't know that. Now, as I don't know that, we are coming to this clue. Labor mix variance or labor gang variance is 10,800. So now let us quickly take the value here to be 10,800. So labor, is it adverse or favorable? Was adverse. So 10,800 adverse. So we take this as adverse. Now, what you will do with this? You are stuck again. Simply write the formula. Simply write the formula for this. Then you try to find out the requirement for this. Then ultimately your problem will follow a sequence. Now the formula is what? What is the formula? The formula is, for gang variance, I need to calculate something called as revised standard hours, right? Minus I need to find out something called as actual hours, right? So this, as labor gang variance is a part of your efficiency variance, this had to multiply with something called as my standard. So if I do this, ultimately what I can easily find out my gang variance, because the variance is what? 10,800. Now this part I don't know. If I know this, I could have directly calculated my rate variance. I could have directly calculated my total number of workers. I don't know the actual hours. So I cannot calculate this. But can't I find out my revised standard hours? If I try to find out my revised standard hours, then I can put this equation. Then ultimately, if I simplify this equation, can't I find out my actual hours? That's what is the logic which you need to apply now. So here, let us try to find out the basis of your revised standard hours. For calculation of your revised standard hours, you need to calculate your standard hours for actual output. Now, before calculation of that, let us first get into calculation of standard hours for actual output for your skilled, for your semi-skilled, for your unskilled. So already here one point we have discussed. What? 12 units can be done in 1 hour. Actual output is 2225. 2295 divided by 12 if I do, I will be getting the total duration of hours. So one worker will spend that many hours. Like that, how many standard skilled are there? 12 are there. So into 12 into 8 into 5, that is going to give you something called as the standard hours for actual. So now let us come here. Take it as what? Actual output. See again, I am putting the same logic here. So what is that? Standard output. What is standard output? 12 units. To get this 12 units, what you are supposed to do? You need to input. Standard input in hours is what? 1 hour. What is your actual output? 2000 something. 2225. So 2225 is your actual output. So 2955. 2295. Yeah. So 2295 is my actual. So 2295 in how many hours? That means what I will do? 2295 into 1 divided by 12. So if I do here 2295 into 1 by 12, I will be getting the duration for one worker. Like that, how many standard workers are there? We need to multiply. There are 12 number of standard workers. So I need to multiply this with 12. I need to multiply this with number of skilled workers, 8. I need to multiply this with number of unskilled workers, 5. So into this remains the same. 2295 into 1 by 12, that remains the same. 2295 into 1 by 12. 2295 into 1 by 12. Now let us see. 2295 into 1 by 12 into 12, that gives you 2295. So the standard hours is going to be 2295. Coming to the next one, 2295 divided by into 1 by 12 gives you the total duration for one worker. Like that, 8 semi-skilled workers are there. Into 8, that gives you 15. That gives you what? 15. You will be getting something called as 1530. So you will be getting 1530. Then what? Then 2295 into 1 divided by 12 into 5 workers. So total time duration here is going to be 956.25. So this is nothing but your total standard hours. Total standard hours. Okay? Total standard hours. Now what is the total? 2295 plus 1530 plus 956.25. That is going to give you 4781.25. 4781.25. That's it. So you will be getting 4781.25. That's what is something called as the standard hours for actual output. Now, your basic objective is what? Your basic objective of doing this is nothing but to ascertain revised standard hours. So now if you calculate your revised standard hours, how do we calculate it? Revised standard. What is the meaning of revised standard hours? Which is nothing but standard hours, okay, actual hours in standard proportion. So revised standard hours is nothing but standard hours in, actual hours in standard proportion. Is going to be actual hours in standard proportion. I need to consider actual hours in what? Standard proportion. So what we have discussed earlier when we are calculating your revised standard quantity, there we have discussed one concept that your total actual quantity is equal to RSP. Now total actual hours should be equal to my revised standard hours. So what is my total hours? Actual hours, we know that it should be 4,500. This 4,500 should be taken in your standard proportion. So step number 1 is nothing but this. Step number 2 is nothing but determination of percentage. So I need to determine something called as determination of percentage for skilled, for semi-skilled, for unskilled. So how do we determine the percentage? Okay, how do we determine the percentage here? Let us try to see. So the skilled, what is the total skilled hours, stand hours? The total skilled stand hours is 2,295. So 2,295 is nothing but your semi for the skilled. So 2,295. So now let us take here to be 2,295. This is for skilled. What is the total? 4,781.25. If I multiply this with 100, I will be getting some percentage. Like that I should do for semi-skilled, I should also do for skilled. So now for semi-skilled, what? 1530. I have to consider numerator as what? 1530 is the numerator. What is the denominator? 4,781. So 1530 divided by 4,781.25 into 100 will be getting a percent. That's what is for your semi-skilled. Now I need to do the same pattern for also my unskilled. So even for the unskilled, we are supposed to determine the percentage. So what we'll do? Unskilled 956.25 divided by total 4781.25 into 100, that gives a percentage. That is going to give you a percentage. Now let us calculate the percentage here. 2295 divided by 4781.25 into 100 if I do, I'll be getting 48%. So how much you are getting? You are getting this to be 48%. So 48% is the total we got. 48%. Then 1530 divided by 4781.25 into 100 if I do, I'll be getting what? 32%. So here you are getting something called as 32%. Now, okay. So let us also try to calculate for your unskilled. So how do I calculate for your unskilled? 956.25 divided by the total 4781.25 into 100 if we do. So let us say 956.25 divided by 4781.25 into 100, that is going to give you 20%. You are getting this as what? 20%. So you are getting this which is equal to 20%. So now we got the percentage. Now finally I can easily find out RSH. So how do I find out my RSH? Revised standard hours is equal to step 1 into step 2. Now what is your step 2? Skilled, semi-skilled, unskilled. So there are 3 categories of it. What is our percentage? 48% here, 32% here, 20%. What I know? I know my total RH to be 4,500. Now what we are doing? 48 into 4,500, 32.5 into 4,500, 20% into 4,500. So the total, now if I consider 4,500 into 48%. Into 48. So what is my total? 2,160 is my total. 4,500 into 32%. My total is what? 1,440. 4,500 into 20%. So 4,500 into 20%. So how much you are getting? You are getting this as 900. Now if you observe, the total is nothing but equal to 4,500. Let's check. 1,440 plus 2,160. That is going to give you 4,500. Now I got the RSH. Now we got the revised standard hours. Now here let us update your skilled, semi-skilled, unskilled. Okay. So now let us take your revised standard hours. Then we need to solve the equation. So now let us take it one by one. 2160, 1440, 2160, 1440, and this is 900. Let us check that. 1440, 2160, 900. Minus this I don't know. Actual hours I still don't know. Actual hours I still don't know. Actual hours I still don't know. Now what we know? I know, or simply if I elaborate this, I can write like this. Instead of writing this in this fashion, so what I can write the same thing like this. SH into SR. SH into SR means what? 2160, 1440, 900. That's what is something called as your RSH. Multiply this with your standard rate. So already we had taken your standard rate. What is the standard rate? 75, 50, 40. Now into 75, into 40, into 50. So now what you are getting? RSH into SR you got. Let us do that first. So which gives you what? RSH into SR. Let us find out that first. 2160 into 75. 2160 into 75. How much? 1,62,500. You are getting 1,62,500. Now what you are getting? RSH into SR. 1440 into 40. 1440 into 40. You are getting this to be 57,600. Okay. Next, you are getting this to be 45,000 because your standard rate is what? 75, 50, and 40. So now, as you know the revised standard hours, you have to find out your RSH into S minus actual hours into standard rate. AH I don't know, but SR I know. What is my SR? 75, 40, 50. So standard rate into actual hours. This actual hours you don't know. Actual hours you don't know. Actual hours you don't know. Okay. So this part you don't know. But I can simplify this. What I will do, I'll just write it below so that we will have a sufficient place to finish this off. Okay. So now we got the required values. Now I need to apply this and I need to calculate the gang variance or whatever variance you are supposed to calculate. Now let us come to the fresh page. There we try to Here gang variance is what? Revised standard hours into standard rate minus actual hours into standard rate. That I need to do. First, let us calculate RSH SR. Then we'll focus on something called as AH into SR. Now, we had already calculated for skilled, semi-skilled, unskilled. What? 2000. Let us see what is your 2160, 2160, 1440. That's your RSH into standard rate. What is your standard rate? 75, 50, and 40. So now let us come quickly here. Into 75, into 40, into 50, into 40. Right? Into 50, into 40. So that's what is something called as my standard. Now you quickly multiply this and obtain the value. So what is the value of 2160 into 75? You are getting 1,62,000. You are getting 1440 into 50. You are getting this to be 72,000. Now you are getting this as what? 900 into 40. You are getting this to be 36,000. So you are getting this as what? 36,000 you are getting. So now, what is this total? This total is nothing but your total RSH into SR. Revised standard hours into standard rate. So what is this total? 36,000 plus 72,000 plus 1,60,000. If I do, I'll be getting this total as what? 2,70,000. So you are getting this as what? 2,70,000 you got. Then I need to focus on something called as my actual hours. That actual hours again has to multiply with something called as your standard rate. Now let us try to find out that for your skilled, for your semi-skilled, for your unskilled. See here in the problem we had already assumed my standard workers, skilled workers to be 2x, semi-skilled to be x. Now let us come here. 2x, each worker is working for how many hours? 180 hours. Like the total, how many people, skilled workers are there? 2x are there. One worker is working for 180 hours. Like that, there are X number of people. One worker is working for 180 hours. Like that, you are having 25 minus 3x is the number of workers you are having. That gives you a AH. This I need to multiply with my standard rate. What is your standard rate? 75, 50, 40. Now if I simplify this, let us try to simplify. 180 into 2, 360 x. 360x into 75, you are getting 27,000x. So how much you got? 27,000x. So you got this as 27,000x. Now what? 180x into 50. 180x into 50, you are getting this as what? 9,000x. So you are getting this as 9,000x. Now what happens? This, let us further simplify. 25 into 180. 25 into 180, how much you will be getting? 25 into 180 will be getting 4,500. 180 into 3x is giving you 540x. So ultimately, this entire thing is nothing but the number of hours. This has to be multiplied by your standard rate. Now if I multiply this with your standard rate, 4,500. How you are getting 4,500? 25 into 180. You done. So you are getting 4,500. So what I need to do? 4,500 into 40. If I multiply 4,500 into 40, how much I will be getting? I will be getting 1,80,000. So we got this as what? 1,80,000. So we got this 1,80,000. 1,80,000 minus 540x into 40. 540x into 40. 540x into 40, you are getting this as minus 21,600x. Now find out this total. So what you are getting now? 1,80,000 plus 27,000x plus 9,000x. Total how many x you are having? 36,000x. 36,000x minus 21,600x is going to give you plus 14,400x. So now what is this? This is nothing but my AHSR is nothing but this. Now what is the formula for your gang variance? The formula for your gang variance is nothing but revised standard hours into standard rate minus actual hours into standard rate. Now we know that the problem clearly specifies you this is equal to what? 10,800 hours. So this is said to be 10,800. So 10,800 hours. Now RSH revised standard hours into standard rate is what? 2,70,000 minus AH into SR. Equation is 1,80,000 minus plus 14,400x is equal to 10,800 adverse. So I will be putting it as minus 10,800. Minus 10,800. So now if we elaborate this, then what? Let us multiply entire thing with your minus. So ultimately 2,70,000 minus 1,80,000 minus 14,400x is equal to minus 10,800. So now we need to solve this equation. So how do I solve this equation? Now let us simplify one by one. 2,70,000 minus 1,80,000. 2,70,000 minus 1,80,000. You are getting this as what? 90,000. So you got this 90,000. So now what is your equation? 90,000 minus 14,400x is equal to minus 10,800. So if this comes this side and x goes that side, what will happen? 90,000 as it is coming this side, minus will become plus. As it is going this side, minus will become plus. So plus 10,800 is equal to 14,400x. Now 90,000 plus 10,800 gives you what? 1 lakh 800 is equal to 14,400x. Now what is your x factor? X factor is nothing but 1 lakh 800 divided by 14,400. So 1 lakh 8,000 divided by 14,400 if I do, I will be getting 7. So x is nothing but 7. What is x? What is x? If you go to the problem, here we had assumed x to be the number of skilled workers. Now ultimately I got my first answer. Now skilled, semi-skilled is equal to 7. Then what is the skilled? 2x. 2x. So ultimately 2 into 7. My skilled workers is going to be 14. Now what is the total of my skilled and semi-skilled? 7 plus 14. 7 plus 14. The total is going to be what? Let us put it here 7. So the total is going to be 21. How many workers are there? Total workers. Total number of workers are 25. Of this 25, 21 is nothing but skilled and semi-skilled. So ultimately 4 is what? Answer. Now you got the answer for your first one. So go to the statement, update there as well. Update here in the statement the number of workers which you have calculated. Yeah, 14, 7, 4. So that's what is the first step. Now I need to find out my actual hours. Can't I find out now? Because how do I find out my actual hours? Already we have done it here. So how we are doing it? Actual hours. Let us go to the last statement which we have done recently. Actual hours. What is your actual hours? 2x into 180, x into 180, 25 x minus 3x into 180. Now I can easily find out my actual hours so that I can find out the problem. Now the last one. So now let us calculate our labor rate variance. Standard rate minus actual rate for actual hours. Now we can easily calculate our actual hours. So how do I calculate the actual hours here? Actual hours is nothing but, now let me put it here, actual hours. Actual hours. Let me put it here, actual hours. So let us calculate here, actual hours. So how do we calculate the actual hours? Actual hours. Calculation of actual hours. So how do we calculate that? Let us say skilled, semi-skilled, unskilled. So skilled, semi-skilled, unskilled, there are 3 things which I need to calculate. So here we know that number of workers is what? Skilled you are having 14, semi-skilled you are having 7, unskilled you are having 4. When I calculate the rate variance, I should always calculate the total but not the hours worked. If you calculate your efficiency variance, then I will be considering 200, 180. But for paying the wages, even though you are sitting idle, the company has to pay you. So I had to consider this as what? 200, 200, 200. That will give me my total actual hours. So 200 into 14. 200 into 14, that gives you 2,800. 200 into 7, that gives you 1,400. 200 into 4, that gives you something called as 800. So we need to update this. 2,400, 1,400 and 800. So this is nothing but the actual hours which I have to consider. So let us go here and update in the statement your actual hours as this now. Okay, actual hours. What is your actual hours? Actual hours is nothing but 2,800. Actual hours is nothing but 1,400. Actual hours is nothing but 1,800. Now what will happen? 75 rupees I had to spend, but I had spent 80 rupees, so I had spent 5 rupees more. Like that I had paid wages for 2,800 hours. So that gives me something which is nothing but 14,000 annual. So what it gives me? It gives me 14,000 annual. So you are getting this as what? 14,000 annuals. Then what? 50 rupees I need to spend, but I had spent only 48. That means I had saved 2 rupees on how many hours? 1,400 hours. So total my variance there is going to be 2,800 available. Then what? I should spend 40 rupees, but I had spent 2 rupees more. I had getting 2 rupees adverse into 800. That is going to give you 1600 adverse. Now let us do the total. 14,000 negative plus 1600 negative minus 1560 minus 1560 plus 2,800, that is going to give you 12,800 as your labor rate variance, which is nothing but your adverse. That's the end of problem number That's the end of problem number 11. Now let us get into problem number 12. This problem number 12 I will discuss, and I want you to solve this problem number 11. A gang of workers consists of 30 skilled workers, 15 semi-skilled workers, and 10 unskilled workers. So whenever the situation is like this, you just simply put like this: skilled, semi-skilled, unskilled. Number. What is the number? The number is 30, 15, 10. So you can easily find out the total as what? 35, 30 plus 15 plus 10. So total number of workers is what? 55 workers. So that's what is given. And what is given? He is giving you the standard rate also. Okay. So let me put the table like this in the solution answer book only, so we can easily understand. So now let us come here. Yeah. So here let us take problem number 12. I will just explain it. So I want you to solve solution to problem number 12. Solution to problem number 12. Now, whenever the problem is given like this, you need to prepare a small table that becomes easy for you. Standard, and you put one column as actual. And what is given? Skill is given, semi-skill is given, unskill is given. And he is telling you the number of workers are there. How many number of workers? 30, 15, 10. So quickly update here: 30, 15, 10. So what is this? This is nothing but the number. Now he is also giving you something called as the standard rate. So what is the standard rate which is mentioning? Mentioning it to be standard rate to be 70 rupees for skilled, 65 rupees for semi-skilled, 50 rupees for unskilled. 70, 65, 50. So here 70, 65, 50. 65, 50. Now let us get back to the problem. In the normal working hours of 40 hours, in a normal working week of 40 hours, that means what? 1 week, the normal working is going to be 40. So if I want to find out my standard hours, what I can do? One worker will work for 40 hours. Like that, 30 workers will work for how many hours? So ultimately, what I will be getting? So let me take it later. So here, based upon this, I can easily calculate my standard hours. So what is my standard hours? One worker will work for 30. So 30 into 40, 15 into 40, 10 into 40. How much you are getting? 1200, 600, 400. Right? So this is nothing but your standard hours. And what else we know? We have been already provided the standard rate. So take your standard rate there: 70, 65, 50. That's what is the information which is given. We had taken here. Standard hours is calculated. Now let us go to the actuals part. Actual also we know skilled, semi-skilled and unskilled is there. Now let us continue reading the problem. So now what the question says, the gang consisted of actual 40 skilled, 10 semi-skilled, 5 skilled. So here actual 40, 10 semi-skilled, 5 unskilled. So 10 semi-skilled, 5 unskilled. Total remained the same. Even the standard says 55, actual is also 55. But what is happening? Instead of using 30 skilled, he had used 40 skilled. Instead of using 15 semi-skilled, he had used only 10 semi-skilled. Instead of using 10 unskilled, he had used only 5 unskilled. So they are arising in a combination of change of gang. So that's what is the actual thing which is happening. Now let us try to understand what is happening. The weekly wages paid was 75 rupees, 60 rupees and 50 rupees. That what is the number of actual wages. And what is mentioned? 4 hours was lost due to machine breakdown. That means you are supposed to work for 40 hours a week, but you are not working for 4 hours. So hours worked 36, 36, 36. Now 2 columns I need to have. Actual hours worked, actual hours paid, because actual hours paid will be for the total 40, but efficiency will be calculated only for your actual hours worked. Now let us calculate both. 40 into 36, 10 into 36, 5 into 36. That gives you actual hours worked. Each worker will work for 36. Like that 40 skilled workers will work for 1440. 10 skilled workers will work for, semi-skilled will work for 360. 5 semi-unskilled will work for 36. So that gives you 180. So total these people are working for how much? 180 plus 360, 1440. The total hours worked is 19,080. 1,090. So here, what is happening? Even though you are working or not working, I am supposed to pay you for 40. So 40 into 40, you are getting this as what? 1600. 10 into 40, you are getting this as 400. 50 into 40, 5 into 40, you are getting this as 2. So I have to make a payment for 2,200 hours, but for calculation of efficiency, I should not take 2,200, but I have to consider only 1980. So that's what is the actual hours. Now what else is given? He is also giving you something called as what? Actual rate. So what is your actual rate given in the problem? 75, 60, 52. 75, 60, 52. Skilled, semi-skilled, unskilled. So that's what is the hours given. Now what is asking? What is required? What is there in the problem to calculate? The problem is asking you to calculate something called as labor cost variance. The problem is asking you to calculate something called as labor rate variance. The problem is asking you to calculate labor efficiency, labor mix, labor idle time. So these are the 5 different set of variance we need to calculate. I am just explaining in the rough fashion. I want you to prepare the statement and I want you to do it. So for calculation of your cost variance, what is required? Standard hours for actual output. This multiplied by your standard rate minus actual hours into actual rate. I will take the actual hours, I will multiply the actual rate, I will be getting the total. So I have to take the actual hours paid here. So based upon this, I can easily find out this part. Now I need to find out standard hours for actual. How do we do this? Okay. Here, let us see what is mentioned. They are paid at a standard rate of 1 rupee per hour. So how much they are paying? They are paying at a standard rate per hour. 1 hour they are paying. Normal working, it is expected to produce 20 units of output. In a normal working hours of 40, you are expected to produce 200. What is the meaning of that? Standard output is 2000. Standard output is 2000. Sorry. Standard output is what? Standard output is 2000 in how many hours? 40 hours. Standard output is 2000 in a standard unit of 40 hours. That means if one worker spends 40, they can produce 2000 units. What is your actual output? Now the gang is actually producing 1600 units. So actual output was 1600 units. To produce the 1600 units, how much time one person should put up? So what I will do? 1600 into 40 divided by 2000. 1600 into 40 divided by 2000. 1600 into 40 divided by 2000 if I do, I will be getting 32 hours. That means one worker should put 32 hours. Now you find out how many skilled are there, how many semi-skilled are there, how many unskilled are there. Now the problem says the standard 30, 15, 10, you are having 30 skilled, 15 semi-skilled, 10 unskilled. Now one worker 32 hours into 32, into 32, into 32. So what is this called as? This is nothing but your standard hours for actual output. You will be getting standard hours for actual output. This is something called as for SH. Now let us quickly do 30 into 32, 960. 15 into 32. 15 into 32 if you do 480. And this you are getting 3. So there is nothing but your total. So 480, this 480. 480 plus 320 plus 960 is going to give you standard hours for actual output. That means you are supposed to do the task in 1760. But you are doing the task in 98. Inefficient. The labor is inefficient. Now, how do we calculate this? SHSR. Multiply this with your standard rate. We will be getting the standard cost. What is the standard rate per hour? 70, 65, 70, 65, 50. 70, 65, 50. So you will be getting your SR. Now let us do the total here. 960 into 70. 67,200 will be getting. 48 into 65. 31,200. Then 320 into 50. 1600. 16,000. So what is this total? 16,000 plus 31,200 plus 67,200 gives you 1,14,400. So what you are getting? Standard cost. You got your standard cost. Now if you find out your actual cost, let us go here. How do I find out my actual cost? Actually, I need to calculate my cost for overall hours. Even if I pay or not pay, I have to calculate the cost. So here, AH into AR is nothing but 1600 into 75. 1600 into 75 gives you 1,20,000. 60 into 40. Okay, 60 into 400. That gives you 24,000. Again, 75 into 16. 75 into 1600 is going to give you 1,20,000. 60 into 400 is going to give you 2,24,000. 52 into 200 is going to give you 10,400. So what is the total here? 10,400 plus 24,000 plus 1,20,000. You are getting 1,54,400 is the total. So you got 1,54,400 as your total. So my AH into AR is going to be 1,54,400. Now I can easily find out my labor cost variance because I know my standard cost and I know my actual cost. So the difference of 1,14,400 minus your actual cost of 1,54,400 will be getting something called as your labor cost variance. So one part is done. Second, what is asking? Rate variance. How do you calculate your rate variance? Rate variance is nothing but difference in rate. Standard rate minus actual rate into hours. Actual hours. What are actual hours? Actual hours, which is nothing but your 40, but not 36. So for the entire thing. So you know the standard rate, you know the actual rate. Say suppose for the first case, 70 rupees. What is my actual? 75. That means I need to pay 70, but I am paying 5 rupees extra. Like this, how many hours? We had already calculated your actual hours, 160. So like that, difference in rate multiplied by your actual hours paid will be getting something called as your labor rate. So it becomes quite easy for you to calculate. Then what? You are done with your labor rate variance. Then you need to focus on efficiency variance. How do you find out your efficiency? Difference in hours, standard hours for actual output. Just now we have calculated 960, 480, 320. So actual hours is already calculated. So now here, which actual hours I have to consider for calculation of my efficiency? For calculation of efficiency variance, hours worked. I need to calculate your hours worked. For calculation of rate variance, I need to consider hours paid. So here for efficiency variance, always I have to consider my hours worked. 1980 is the hours worked, but your total hours you are supposed to work for 1780, you are working more, you are getting an adverse. That's what is something called as the efficiency variance. Then I need to find out something called as my labor gang or labor mix variance. So how do we find out that? For doing that, I need to find out my revised standard quantity. Revised standard hours. So how do you find out my revised standard hours? Actual hours in standard proportion. For that, what is my total of my actual hours? Total of my actual hours I will be considering 2,200. That will be a portion in your standard proportion. So you will be getting something called as your RSH. Then RSH minus your AH into SR is going to give you your gang variance. So ultimately you can easily calculate by taking this in the following ratio. Then idle time variance. So how do I calculate my idle time variance? Idle time. Each worker, there is an idle time of 4 hours. So skilled, semi-skilled, unskilled. So let me put it here. Idle time variance. So how do I calculate? Take your idle time. Multiply idle time into standard rate. So skilled are there, semi-skilled are there, unskilled are there. Each worker 4 hours is the idle time. Like that, how many skilled you are having? 30, 15, 10. So into 30 into 15 into 10, 120, 60, 40. That's what is nothing but my idle time. So this idle time should be multiplied with the standard rate. What is the standard rate? The problem gives you a standard rate of 70, 65 and 50. 70, 65, 50. So 70 into 120, 70 into 120, you are getting 8,400 adverse. 60 into 65, you are getting 3,900 adverse. Always idle time variance is going to be adverse. 40 into 50, you are getting 2,000 adverse. So this total is nothing but your idle time variance. So this plus 2,000 plus 8,400, 8,400 plus 3,900 plus 2,000. This total is what? 14,300. So 14,300 is nothing but your idle time variance. So almost we have done with the entire thing. So just do this problem. Now, okay. So I want you to finish off this problem here. Right. Now, let us quickly move on to problem number 10. SJ Limited has furnished the following information. Standard overhead rate, absorption rate is 20 rupees. What is the meaning of absorption rate? Overhead divided by number of units. Why units? Because it is clearly mentioned as per unit. If that is mentioned as standard overhead absorption rate per hour, overhead divided by number of hours. So as it is per unit, total overhead divided by number of units, you are getting something called as 20 rupees. Rate per hour is given as 4 rupees. Budget production is 12,000. Actual production is 15,560. 15,560. That's what is nothing but your budgeted and actual. Actual overheads is given 2,95,000 of which 62,500 is fixed. That means what? 2,95,000 minus 62,500 is nothing but your variable overhead. So here the problem includes both variable component as well as a fixed component. That means even this 20 rupees per unit includes fixed cost component, includes variable cost component. So I need to segregate them. So this 20 rupees should be apportioned into fixed cost per unit, variable cost per unit. If I do that, then we can proceed further. Then what else is given? Actual hours is given. Okay, actual hours is given. Then along with this, he is telling you overheads are based upon the following flexible budget. Production 8,000, the total overheads is 1,80,000. Production 10,000, the total overheads is going to be 2,80,000. It's nothing but the budget, standard, estimated. So 14,000, the cost is going to be 2,70,000. Now, when we were discussing the concept of overheads, when we are discussing about classification of overheads, there we have discussed one point. Segregation of your overheads into something called as variable cost into fixed cost. Now I need to apply that concept. There we have discussed several methods. Graphical presentation method, least cost method, high-low, difference. So here I am going to take the difference. What difference? Any difference. Change in cost divided by change in output. 2,70,000 minus 1,80,000 divided by 14,000 minus 10,000. I will be getting what? Variable cost per unit. If I calculate the variable cost per unit, suppose, let me do like this. At 14,000, what was my cost? 2,70,000. At 80,000, what was my cost? 1,80,000. So what is the difference? The difference is 90,000. Why 90,000 has been realized? Due to increase in production from 8,000 to 14,000. How much is increased? 14,000 minus 8,000, that gives you 6,000. Difference in cost divided by difference in units. So here what I am applying? Variable cost per unit is nothing but difference in cost divided by difference in units. If I divide the difference in cost with difference in units, I will be getting my variable cost per unit. So here the variable cost per unit is what? 50 rupees. You are getting it as 50 rupees. Why? Because 2,70,000 minus 1,80,000 divided by 14,000 minus 8,000. So that the remainder is going to be 15 rupees per unit. Now, what is my total cost per unit? 15. So total is 15. My variable is, total is 20. My variable is 15. Then what is fixed? 5 rupees per unit is going to be fixed. So we had broken up this 20 rupees into 5 rupees as well as 15 rupees. Now, 1 unit, 5 rupees. 1 unit, 5 rupees. Now I need to find out how many hours is required for 1 unit. If I try to find out that how many hours required for 1 unit, then based upon this we can easily find out the other variables. Clear? So now let us see what is asking. He is, with the information is asking you only two things: variable overhead efficiency and expenditure variance, fixed overhead efficiency and capacity variance. Only these two things are required. See, always read the problem, see what is asking, put down the formula. Then you assess what information is there, what information is not there, then you can do the problem very easy. So now let us start with the solution to problem number 10. Solution to problem number 10. Solution to your problem number 10. Now, what is required? First one. He is asking you to calculate what? Variable overhead efficiency and expenditure variance. Only two things are required. He is asking you variable overhead efficiency and variable overhead expenditure. That's what is one thing which I am supposed to calculate. Now, let us try to put the first formula. Variable overhead efficiency variance. What is the formula for that? Efficiency variance is equal to the difference of your hours. Standard hours for actual output minus actual hours into, as it is a part of your volume variance, I have to multiply this with your standard rate. Standard hours for actual output minus actual hours into standard rate. If I do, I will be getting my efficiency variance. Now, do you have your standard hours for actual output? No. You have your actual hours. So this part is there, this part is not there, and even standard rate per hour is also not there. Standard rate per hour is also not there. That also we are supposed to calculate. Now, clear, let us see what information we are having. Standard hours for actual output. Whether this information is there? That information won't be there. Any problem, that information won't be there. I need to calculate. To calculate that, three things are required. What? My actual output. I need to find out my actual output. In the problem, what is mentioning? He is telling you your actual output is 15,560. And what else is required? Standard output. What is my standard output? I am budgeting to produce 12,000 units. I am budgeting to produce 12,000 units. So now I know my budgeted production. What I need to know? I need to know to produce 1 unit, how many hours I need to spend. If I know this, then I can easily find out something called as my standard hours for actual. So until I know that, I cannot find out my efficiency variance. Now, what else is required? I need to find out my standard rate. Standard rate per hour, variable plus fixed, is given as 4 rupees. As we have broken up for the cost, even for the hour also I need to break up. How do we do this? How do we do this? See, ultimately, I need to segregate this 4 rupees into variable per hour, fixed cost per hour. Then ultimately, entire thing will flow and we can do the problem in an easy way. Clear? So now let us see what is asking in problem number 10. Okay. He is asking us to calculate something called as variable overhead efficiency and expenditure variance. So let us come here. What is asking? Variable overhead efficiency variance. So the first one he is asking there variable overhead efficiency variance, and second one he is asking you variable overhead capacity variance. Now this is what solution to problem number 10. So solution to problem number 10 is nothing but this variable overhead efficiency variance is this. Now whenever you are trying to approach this sort of different problems, first of all, approach is most important. So how do I approach? See, there will be few problems in costing until and unless you should first of all understand what you are supposed to do. Here what I am supposed to do, calculate variable overhead efficiency variance, calculate variable overhead expenditure variance. And the second one he is asking you what? He is asking you fixed overhead efficiency variance, fixed overhead capacity variance. So these are the only 4 things which are required, only 4 things. But there are a lot of missing information. So first of all, we need to understand what is required, what is missing, what is the information available, with what I can find out. So to get into that, there is step by step. First of all, you try to know what is required. What is required? The problem clearly is telling you that you require to compute something called as variable overhead efficiency variance. That's it. You write the formula. You simply write the formula. What is the formula? Efficiency. In how many hours you are supposed to do, in how many hours you are doing. Time allowed minus time taken. The difference is nothing but your time saved is nothing but your efficiency. So that efficiency, always I said, efficiency variance is a part of your standard volume variance. So ultimately multiply that with your standard rate. That's it. If you do that, you'll be getting your variable overhead efficiency variance. Coming to expenditure variance, difference in rate multiplied by your actual will give you something called as expenditure variance. So now let us first go one by one. So as you are supposed to calculate this as 1A, let us try to put the formula for this. What is the formula for this? The formula for this is nothing but standard hours for actual output. So it clearly says standard hours for actual output. So simply consider standard hours for actual output. What is this? This is nothing but the time allowed minus actual hours worked. So how many hours you are working, that I need to consider. So this entire thing being a part of your volume variance, efficiency variance, you are supposed to multiply with something called as standard rate. That's it. That's what is the given formula. Now you see what information you have, what information you don't have. If I go to the problem, what information I am having? I am having only one information, which is nothing but my actual hours. See, it is mentioned here. It is clearly mentioned as what? My actual hours is 74,000. So my actual hours is 74. Apart from this, I don't know anything. So now let us write here actual hours is given as 74,000. What else is required? I require something called as standard hours for actual output is required. That we don't know at present. Then we also require something called as standard rate per hour. Even that information is not there. Why I am telling that information is not there? Let us go here. If I go here, he is giving you standard rate per hour as 4. But this 4 is comprising of your variable overhead and fixed overheads. So until and unless I find out, I segregate my cost, I cannot get my standard rate per hour. So that information is not there. In any problem, standard hours for actual output will not be there. We need to calculate. To calculate our standard hours for actual output, 3 parameters are required. What is that? One is actual output. Actual output is given 15,560. So here I know my actual output 15,560. What is required? I need to know standard output and I need to know standard input. To produce 1 unit, how many hours are required? If I know that, I can calculate something called as standard hours for actual. So what I have to find out? I have to find out 1 unit requires how many hours. 1 unit requires how many hours. If I am able to calculate, then I can find out this. Then I can try to find out standard hours for actual output. So then ultimately what? I can find out the difference in hours. One part will be done. Then I need to find out something called as standard rate. So now the entire problem is lying on calculation of your standard hours for actual output and something called as standard rate. So once you put this, you will be in a position to understand what you are supposed to find out. What information is there. Now I know that I need to find out standard hours. To find out standard hours, 3 information are required. Actual output, standard output, to produce 1 unit, what is the time taken? So one information is there, other information I need to find out. To produce 1 unit, if my standard output is 1, how many hours are required to produce this standard output? If this link is established, we can find out the standard hours. Now, let us try to calculate everything one by one. Okay. Now, let us try to find out something called as standard hours for actual output. So now we are in a process to find out standard hours for actual output. How do we do? Now by applying the formula, we are in a conclusion that this is required. Now we are in a dilemma. How do we find out? For this, what you have to do, take all the information given in the problem. So once you capture all the information tabulated in the problem, then you have to just simply establish a link. Now let us see what is mentioning you. Standard rate per unit is already given in the problem as 20 rupees. 1 unit is 20 rupees. We know basically that this unit comprises of your variable component as well as your fixed cost component. Then he is also giving you something that standard rate per hour is going to be how much? Standard rate per hour given in the problem as 4 rupees. So even we know this comprises of your variable component as well as fixed cost component. But at present I am not bothered to segregate the variable component as well as fixed cost component. We'll come by one. At present, what is my objective? My objective is just simply to find out standard hours for actual. Now, in this case, what I can do? This is the clue. This is the clue with which you can try to find out 1 hour, 1 unit of standard output should be done in how many hours? See here, 1 unit is 20. 1 hour you are giving 4 rupees. See, if you go back to the basic, when we are discussing something called as our absorbed cost, absorption costing, absorbed overheads, there what we have discussed? Absorption can be done based on units, absorption can be done based on hours. But ideally, even you absorb based on units, or you absorb based on hours, my cost should be the same. My cost should be always the same, right? Now, even if I do in this problem absorption based on units, my cost was 20 rupees. Even if I do the absorption, my cost should remain the same. So now, how do you absorb your overheads? Rate per hour, 4 rupees per hour. 4 rupees per hour into number of hours. That will give you something called as the number of hours. Now ultimately what? I can easily find out my number of hours. Number of hours is what? 20 rupees divided by 4 rupees is going to give you your number of hours. So this is going to give you your number of hours as 5 rupees. So you are getting this as what? 5 rupees. Sorry, 5 hours. This is not, you will be getting here as what? 1 unit requires something called as 5 hours. So here, this is the link established. Now with the help of this, I can easily find out my standard hours for actual output. Now let us quickly calculate this. Standard hours for actual output. So how do we calculate this? One standard output here is 1 unit. 1 unit is your standard output. To produce 1 unit, how many hours is required? 5 hours is required. Now, what is your actual output? You need to consider your actual output. Actual output is 15,560 is your actual output. To produce this, how many hours is required? So ultimately what I will do, it's simply a cross multiplication. 15,560 into 5 divided by 1. So how much you are getting? 15,560 into 5 divided by 1, that is going to give you 77,800. So ultimately if I come here, standard hours for actual output is now what? 77,800. Means the task which you are supposed to do in 77,800 you are doing in 74,000. That means you have time saved is there. So the time saved is nothing but your efficiency. So I will be having something called as a favorable variance there. Now almost done. I need to calculate only this standard rate per hour. If I know the calculation of standard rate per hour, we are done. Now for that what I need to do? Segregate. Now let us try to find out standard rate per hour. Okay, standard rate per hour. For this, the two things are important. Here it is clearly mentioned your standard rate is equal to 20 rupees. We basically know this comprises of your fixed cost component. This also comprises of your variable cost component. Now let us try to calculate your variable cost per unit. If I calculate my variable cost per unit, this minus my variable cost will give me something called as what? My standard rate minus variable cost is going to give me something called as my fixed cost per unit. Now, how do I calculate the variable cost per unit? If I go to the problem, here, this part of the problem is trying to focus on your variable cost. He is giving you a production budget, 8,000, 10,000, 14,000. When the production is 8,000, the overheads is 1,80,000. When the production is 10,000, the overhead is 2,10,000. When the production is 14,000, the overhead is 2,70,000. Now what I need to do? Difference in cost divided by difference in unit. Either you take 10,000 and 8,000 or you take 14,000 and 10,000, or you consider 14,000 and 8,000, which gives you the same. So now let us take these two combinations, 10,000, 8,000. So now what I need to do? Difference in cost divided by difference in cost divided by difference in units. What is my cost there? Let us see. So let me put it here somewhere. Standard rate per unit is given as 20 rupees. Let us take it here, 20 rupees. Difference in cost. What is the cost? 2,10,000, 1,80,000. So let us take here 2,10,000 minus 1,80,000 divided by difference in units. 10,000 minus 8,000, you are getting this as what? 2,000. Now 2,10,000 minus 1,80,000 divided by 2,000. That is going to give you 15 rupees per unit as your variable cost. So my variable cost was what? 15 rupees. My total cost is what? 20 rupees. So ultimately, what is this difference? This difference is nothing but 5 rupees per unit. 5 rupees per unit is nothing but your fixed cost per unit. Now, I don't want my variable cost per unit. I want variable cost per hour. Rate of absorption of variable cost per hour is required. Now this, how do I find out? I need to find out now basically something called as variable cost, variable rate per hour. I need to find out something called as rate per hour. So rate per hour is already given as 4 rupees. Is giving you this as 4 rupees. This includes variable component, this includes fixed cost component. Now what I have to do? I have to sacrifice. Same as how we have done here. 20 rupees is for product. 4 rupees is per hour. How you got 5 hours? In the same pattern, we'll be doing this here. Now, 15 rupees is for product. Means what? Means my variable cost is equal to what? Rate into number of hours. So variable cost is equal to 15. 15 rupees is equal to rate into number of hours. Rate into number of hours. So how many number of hours is required for one product? We have already calculated to be 5 hours. So ultimately 15 rupees is equal to rate per hour into 5 hours. Into 5 hours. Which gives you what? Rate is equal to 15 rupees by 5, that is going to give you 3 rupees. So ultimately we got 3 rupees per hour. So standard rate of variable cost is going to be 3 rupees and fixed cost is going to be 1 rupee. So variable rate is 3 rupees per hour. Fixed overhead recovery rate is going to be 1 rupee per hour. Now done. We got all the information which is required. So now let us quickly put this here and try to calculate the variance now. Now, what is the formula? If I put everything in a formula here, which implies standard hours for actual output 77,800 minus actual hours is going to be 74,000. Standard rate per hour is going to be 3 multiplied by 3 is going to give you what? 77,800 minus 74,000 into 3 rupees is going to give you something called as 11,400 favorable. That's what is something called as the fixed variable overhead efficiency variance. Now everything is there. We can easily calculate something called as the variable overhead expenditure variance. So I will update here. I want you to solve with that. Now second 1B. What is asking? Variable overhead expenditure variance. So how do we do? Standard rate minus actual rate into actual hours. We know standard rate. How much? 3 rupees. We know this also, but let us do it in a simplified fashion into actual hours. Now if I simplify this, what will happen? Actual hours into 3 minus AH into AR. What is AH into AR? AH into AR is nothing but your actual variable overheads. Now which implies what? 3. What is my actual hours there? Actual hours was 74,000 is my actual hours. Now if I take my AH into AR, I can easily calculate my variance. So now what is required here? AH AR is required. Now let us see how do we calculate this. Now if we go to the problem, here actual overhead was 2,95,000, of which 62,500 is fixed. So ultimately, let us see here, my total overheads is 2,95,000. 2,95,000 is my total overheads. 2,95,000. So my total overhead is 2,95,000. Of this, what is telling? 62,500 is fixed. So ultimately, the difference is going to be a variable cost. So 2,95,000 minus 62,500. The difference is what? 2,32,500. So minus 2,32,500 will give you your variance. Now what the answer will be? 74,000 into 3 minus 2,32,500 is going to give you 10,500 adverse. So 10,500 negative, will call that as adverse. So done with your variable overhead efficiency, done with your variable overhead capacity variance. Now let us move on to the second one. Second A. He is asking you to calculate fixed overhead, what? Fixed overhead efficiency and capacity. Fixed overhead efficiency variance, fixed overhead capacity variance. Now what is the information required? Put a formula. Fixed overhead efficiency variance is also the same thing as your variable overhead efficiency variance. So what is required? Standard hours for actual output. This information already we have done. Minus actual hours. Even this information is readily available in the problem. Multiplied with your standard rate of fixed overhead. Even this information is there, 1 rupee. So everything is there. 77,800 is nothing but your standard hours for actual output. Let us see. 77,800. So that part is there. Minus actual hours is given as 74,000. So even this information is there. Already we have calculated this standard rate per hour. That is going to be 1 rupee. Now what? 77,800 minus 74,000 into 1. That is going to give you 3,800. Is it favorable or adverse? Favorable. Because you should do the task in 77,800. You are doing the task in lesser time. So ultimately, I will call this as what? Favorable. That's what is the first variance. Second, he is asking you to calculate something called as fixed overhead capacity variance. Capacity variance you are supposed to calculate. How do we do this? Capacity variance. Capacity variance is nothing but what? The difference between your actual hours and something called as your budgeted hours. I need to calculate my budgeted hours. Into as your efficiency variance, capacity variance is a forming part of your volume variance. Always I have to multiply with something called as standard rate. Now, apart from your budgeted hours, everything is there. We know the actual hours. Actual hours to be 74,000. Budgeted hours is only one thing which I am supposed to calculate. This entire thing should be multiplied with my standard rate, which is nothing but 1 rupee per hour. Now, what is required? Calculate your budgeted hours. For this, let us move on to the problem and see what information is there. One information is there. What? One information already we have calculated 1 unit. So now here what we are trying to do? We are trying to calculate your budgeted hours. One information is already calculated. 1 unit requires how many hours? 5 hours. Now what is required? Budgeted output is required. What is the budgeted output? The problem specifies your budgeted production is going to be 12,000 units. That means you need to produce 12,000. 1 unit you are going to produce in 5 hours. 12,000 units, how many hours? So 12,000 into 5, that gives you 60,000. So you can produce this in 60,000 hours. So here 74,000 minus 60,000 into standard rate per hour is 1 rupee. So how much you are getting? 74,000 minus 60,000 into 1, you are getting 14,000. 14,000. So ultimately 14,000 favorable. So you are getting this as 14,000 favorable. That's what is the end of your problem number 10. So now let us move on to the next subsequent problem and we'll try to cover the next chapter.